Radio.
Broadcasting from Cincinnati, you're listening to the Ringside Reporter podcast. All the news from the world of boxing right here.
Well, I'm talking to you the way I want to talk to you.
Now, here's your host, Eric Lorda.
And we are live. Welcome to the Ringside Reporter podcast, where we talk about the latest boxing news. If it's related to boxing, we'll talk about it here. My name is Eric Lorta, and I'm here with my co-host, Ringside Robert, and England's adopted son, Joe Khabib. And we have a great show for you today. If you want to call in and ask questions, you can call in right now at 323-870-3857. And we'll be here till about 9 o'clock tonight. And today, we're going to talk about Beeb, Tyson Fury, and Deontay Wilder. The press conference is kicked off this week. What a wild scene, man. We're going to tell you all about it. And wait till you hear the train wreck of the week this week. Also, too, Canelo Alvarez deciding to move up in weight to challenge one of the champions at 168. We'll tell you all about that. But first, we get started with DAZN, the World Boxing Super Series. Godzilla has arrived in Japan. Naoya Inoue versus Juan Carlos Payano. It took 1 minute for Naoya Inoue to ice Juan Carlos Payano with a straight right hand. It was a jab, straight right, coming straight down the pike. Payano seemed like he tried to push the pace early on. I guess early on when we're talking about like, a minute into the fight, and, he tried to push the pace. He tried to come forward on Inoue. I thought he landed a pretty hard shot when the two came together. But Inoue was very measured, landed a straight right hand that just floored Payano at the 2-minute mark. It was insane. Payano was stretched out. He tried to get up, but that was it, man. He was clearly hurt. The ref stopped the fight. There is no longer a question of is Inoue for real. His last two fights have proven that. I mean, that guy is definitely for real. And now it looks like Inoue will face the winner of Emmanuel Rodriguez and Jason Maloney. Can you imagine Inoue versus Rodriguez? Can you imagine that? And shout out to Corey Lee Boxing. I tell you what, Inoue, he's been touting Inoue for the longest time. And again, man, I gotta see what happens. You know what I mean? I gotta see it play out, and I gotta see him against some live bodies and stuff. Well, he's had 2 live bodies in front of him, and he's dispatched them both pretty quick. Beeb, what were your thoughts on the monster?
This guy's got some pretty quick hands, man. And it's so funny because a guy like that, who you call the monster, he's kind of a silent killer. He almost like lulls you into the false sense of security, like just sits there and touches, almost like Klitschko a little bit. I know I've been talking about Klitschko lately a lot, but some of these guys emulate Klitschko to some degree with the way they have that snake charmer of a type jab. And, you got your opponent kind of feeling that type of rhythm. It's like a slow rhythm. And then all of a sudden, boom, you know what I mean? It's like, it's almost like, you're playing a shell game with, which one is it going to be? Like, when's the fast one coming? You got to guess. And that's what Inoue does. He lulls his opponents into that false sense of security, throws those change-ups a little bit, get you, adapting to the slow speed of the jab, and then all of a sudden, the turn of the dime, boom, he changes up the speed, throws that quick change-up, and boom, you're done. So it's going to be hard to beat this guy. What was the fight that he had on U.S. soil where I think it went a couple rounds? He's criticized because he didn't go to the body enough. I think it was his HBO debut. And then ever since that fight.
It was during the first Superfly card, Beeb.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, and ever since that fight, I think he fought. Who did he fight, Robbie? Some nondescript opponent.
Cleveland, that's all I can remember.
Yeah.
Cleveland, the banker from Cleveland.
Yeah. And he kind of went rounds with him, and he was criticized for that. But ever since that fight, he stepped up and fought even much better guys, and it's almost like he rose to the occasion, and he upped his game as his level of opposition, increased and got better.
He went up a division too.
And then he went up a division too, exactly. And he was criticized for going up a division, but you know, he's fighting the.
We did a whole show criticizing him for not allowing himself to be a part of the second Superfly card.
Yeah, we had two good. I mean, he had a lot of good fighters to pick from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, you know, why would this guy give up those paydays? Why would this guy give up those paydays and move up in the rank? Doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, well, maybe
obviously he knew what he was doing.
Yeah, so he's actually looked more formidable at the higher weight, and he's dispatching these bigger guys faster than he would have the smaller guys. But then the argument could be, well, maybe that bantamweight division had better guys in it. I don't know. I still think he'd be cranking those guys out of there too. I think he'd be a favorite to wipe out most of these guys. The way he handled McDonald like that.
Oh, yeah.
When have you seen McDonald get manhandled like that in a fight?
Never.
So.
Never.
But to answer your question, yeah, this guy's for real. I'm impressed.
Yeah, he'll be dominating the 118 division as long as he's there. And then the key question after he gets all those belts, is he big enough to move up to 122 and do the same thing?
Yeah.
Man, I tell you what, I mean, think about that though. I mean, he's got to be the favorite, right? I mean, who else? I mean, who else is going to be there?
Yeah. It's tough.
I tell you what, but the good thing about this tournament is that, you know, it gets better and better as it goes on, just like any other tournament. I mean, think of, like I said, man, if Emmanuel Rodriguez wins that fight and goes up against Naoya Inoue, how good of a fight is that going to be?
Yeah.
Emmanuel Rodriguez, both good fighters. It might be one of the best fights of the whole tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's crazy. I mean, you have a lot of,
and this bantamweight division, I think I would say it's a little bit stronger than the 115-pound division, wouldn't you guys? Or
for sure.
So I we criticized him for moving up, but I think he's facing better guys up here. So I think it was a good move. I think it only enhances his profile, I think.
It looks like his promoter and management team realized the writing on the wall with HBO going away, maybe, and maybe they realized, hey, this is the Superfly tournament is not going to be, a moneymaker for us. So let's go up to 118 and see what we can do up there. And now they created the Super Series for that division, and now he'll get better competition. So we can honestly say the three of us were wrong, when we criticized him for moving up.
Yeah.
I don't think I was wrong. I think I was right on target for criticizing him for moving up, but that's just me.
Well, Eric, it looks like he made the better decision. I mean, look at the state of the 115 division and the fact that the last Superfly card were decent fights, but they weren't the caliber of fights that he was involved in.
Yeah, I don't necessarily see it that way.
Well, what about Rungvisai? Would you have liked to see him fight Rungvisai, Robbie? That's the
fight I would have wanted to see.
I would have loved that. And who knows? We might still see that if Rungvisai decides to move up.
Yeah. And that's the beauty about these little guys, because eventually they all catch up to each other. They move through these weight classes pretty quickly. 112, 115, 118, 122. Right. They usually blow through those weight classes quickly as they get older. So eventually I think everyone's going to catch up with each other.
How long before somebody criticizes Inoue for being on steroids?
Oh yeah, that's a great question. That's a great question.
We got a few regulars that would want to do that anyway.
Thank you, Dale from Chi-Town in the chat. We appreciate it, man. Thank you so much.
Hey, Dale's a good guy. Yep.
Absolutely. Robert, what do you think a fight between Emmanuel Rodriguez and Naoya Inoue looks like?
I got a chance to see Rodriguez when he fought on the undercard of the Bellevue fight, and he looked devastating in that fight. The fact that he would go up against a monster if he's successful, wow. For those that have DAZN, enjoy yourself. That's it. I would assume that's going to occur in 2019. That would have to be one of the candidates for Fight of the Year next year.
Man, I tell you what, it's insane. And I tell you what, I got DAZN just looking forward to this fight right here. And I mean, obviously the World Boxing Super Series, but this fight in particular, Inoue versus Pacquiao. And I was like, you know, because I said, man, that is going to be the fight. That's the fight I want to see, and it's in the very first round. I said, Pacquiao's a good fighter. He is a really good fighter, man.
And he is a good fighter, but he got iced.
Took him apart.
Easy, Robbie, with the iced.
Yeah, what's the matter with you?
Please.
Respect. Jeez.
Did the best he could.
Come on, that guy's got a family, Robert.
Put forth a good effort. You don't know the training camp he went through.
What's the matter with you? 8
weeks, 10 weeks.
All right. This Robbie just takes a dump all over his career.
I mean, please. Got iced.
Horrible.
Yeah, but he got iced.
Very strong words coming from you, Robbie. Please.
Terrible.
I mean, Eric described it perfectly.
I don't believe I said ice. I'm looking at my notes right now. I don't see it.
No, you said stretchered out. That means the same thing.
Stretchered out. I didn't say stretchered out.
Go back and replay it. That's exactly what you said.
I'm not replaying anything. I got things going on. I'm a little busy right now. I can't go back and replay. So yeah, man. But I like the DAZN. I tell you what, man. And so Beeb is kind of warmed on the DAZN app.
Yeah? I have. You know what? I'm actually. I called up Comcast yesterday, and I'm getting the newest router they make. I'm going to give DAZN the benefit of the doubt, man. I have the fastest internet, but I will confess I bought my own router about 5 years ago. So maybe I can upgrade my router. Maybe that will be an improvement. But I woke up this morning and I watched this bantamweight tournament, and I said to myself, if you could wake up at 7 a.m. and see fights like this, first thing, waking up before you even have that first cup of coffee, before you even make that egg white and spinach omelet, before you even get the skillet hot, and you're watching boxing, that's a beautiful thing, man.
It's awesome.
That's a beautiful thing.
Roll straight out of bed, turn on the machine, boom, it's on. It's on.
So that's the thing, man. That's the thing. Like I'm going above and beyond to give this thing the benefit of the doubt because you know what? I love this schedule, and I'm actually looking forward to this Billy Joe Saunders card coming up too. And not to get
that's a good fight. That's a good fight, man.
Yeah. And not to get too far ahead, because I know we're going to touch upon this later, but I actually really enjoyed that Chicago card yesterday. There was some pretty decent fight. Like those fights turned out to be very entertaining.
It was all right, man. I got to be honest. I mean,
really?
I was watching the UFC at the same time, but
I was, you know, and I liked the Jessie Vargas fight. I thought that was a very good fight.
Yeah, it was just all right for me.
Well, yeah, I think you're looking at the names and maybe you just I don't know. I don't want to speak for you, but I know a lot of people say, well, you know, Jessie Vargas, friggin' Thomas Delorme, what does this fight even mean? But I always go back to the way I frame it is when you take two styles, you put two guys that are on this pretty much the same level. A lot of times you get a good fight. And I thought that fight was entertaining last night. Whether or not it was significant and whether or not these guys can beat Keith Thurman or not even Keith Thurman, but Sean Porter, Errol Spence and all that, I just put that to the wayside and I just enjoyed the fight itself. And I thought it was pretty good.
I will say that Thomas Delorme looked pretty good.
Yeah.
He looked really good. I did not expect that.
No.
He did look pretty good.
No.
Who won that fight, guys?
Well, hang on. We'll go over that.
We'll go over it later. I apologize for jumping ahead, but I just have to, you know, on the theme.
He likes to do his own thing. You know, he doesn't like going off the show notes.
Well,
he likes to skip around.
I wanted to keep on the theme.
Next, you know, and then he's talking about Terence Crawford. He has no respect for the show. All right.
I wanted to keep on the theme with the DAZN app because I've been trashing the DAZN app. But
you put a promo on him.
I know. I made a video. I actually got a cease and desist letter from Matchroom yesterday, and but that's not why I'm doing this right now. I'm not bigging it up now, but I like the schedule. The schedule's incredible. And then I got Bellator next week too. I can watch Bellator next week.
Your boy Chael Sonnen's fighting on that card.
Yeah, I think he's fighting Emelianenko on that card.
He's fighting Fedor.
I'm actually looking forward to that fight too. Once again, two guys at the same point in time in their career.
Fedor,
you know.
But so is Chael. Chael. Would it be?
That's what I'm saying.
The finals and won the thing.
Oh my God!
How crazy is that?
Yeah.
Good Lord. All right, let's talk about Edward Troyanovsky, the former TBE, Robert, the former TBE, Troyanovsky versus Kirill Relic. All the judges had this fight scored the same, 115, 113 for Kirill Relic. I actually had this fight 117, 111 for Relic, man. I thought that Relic was the sharper fighter. I thought Troyanovsky just looked average, to be honest. This was not the same Troyanovsky we watched against former TBE Cesar Cuenca. He looked very tentative and almost confused. Not necessarily confused. I think more tentative. I think more tentative than anything else, man. Relic looked very good, and I definitely want to see him again. He'll face the winner. Relic will face the winner of Regis Prograis and Terry Flanagan. How about that fight?
Oh, my God.
Prograis and Flanagan. How about that fight?
I love it.
Sorry for Relic because
I love it.
Prograis gets his hands on him, it's over.
I don't know, man.
Relic's a good inside fighter, man. He's a really good inside fighter.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
So, B, what were your thoughts? I mean, on the Troyanovsky fight here?
Dale in the chat said he had it 116, 112 for Relic. I had it the same score. I thought this fight was great because, you know, this fight was fought pretty much in the mid-range to inside area, and it wasn't your typical shoulder-to-shoulder phone booth type war because these guys were really, you know, creating angles for themselves on the inside. They were throwing, you know, making little subtle moves, dipping their shoulders a little bit, getting low, and they were both throwing really fluid combinations up close, and they were putting their punches together very nicely. But Relic was the guy who I felt was getting the better of the combinations. Like Troyanovsky would get a few in there, but Relic was the guy who was starting the combination and he was finishing the combination. And that's what the judges remember. They remember who throws, you know, who's punching first, who's getting off first, and who's ending at the who's getting the better at the end of the exchange. And I felt as though Relic was the guy who was getting the better at the end of the exchange. And he's a outstanding body puncher as well. So I like how Relic fought with pressure, but it was a smart pressure. I don't think he had a lot of wasted punches. I thought his punch selection was good. Thought he was putting the shots together well, as I said. And I don't think he was getting too aggressive and too wild in there. I thought he had a really good game plan. I thought he was really smart and calculated. And and every combination, like I said, he ended it, but also a lot of the combinations he ended with body shots too. And I thought that was taking the wind out of Troyanovsky's sails. And you could see how he was getting pushed back a little bit because his legs were starting to go a little bit as his fight wore on. I thought he had some good moments in the middle rounds, but I thought Relic, reasserted himself and put his foot on the gas pedal, and he made sure he really, made those dividends and made those punches count downstairs. So I thought this was a very entertaining fight. Thought it was competitive, but I thought we had a clear winner here in Relic without question. And I think him and he's going to be one of the guys at the end that's going to really be him and Prograis are going to be the two guys at the end, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't. I tell you what, man. Prograis is a good fighter. I mean, Terry Flanagan's a good. This whole thing is just stacked, though. I think that's the thing, that it's just like completely stacked from top to bottom. The tournament is in itself, and I think that's what makes it interesting. Is you really have like the best fighting the best here. And again, this kind of reminds me of the cruiserweights. Whoever comes out here and the 168, whoever comes out of this tournament on both divisions, you got to give it to them. They're the best ones in their division.
Yeah,
I don't think they're the champions in the division. You can't have it any other way.
And if the guys who aren't in this tournament, shame on them. That's all I can say.
Yeah. So okay, it looks like my mic is now fixed here. It looks like it's sounding better anyway. So there you go. I'm also talking a little bit louder too. So
Oh, you sounded clear to me. Maybe I don't know. You sound louder now than you did before, but I could still understand what you were saying.
Okay,
I can hear you.
good deal.
No, it's definitely working real good. So.
All right, so let's talk about DAZN Part 2. Jessie Vargas versus Thomas Delorme at welterweight. Vargas and Delorme fought to a majority draw. Scores were 113 twice, and 115-111 for Vargas. Both fighters actually look pretty good, man. And Vargas was on his way to winning a decision, until he was dropped in the final round.
Yeah.
Action went back and forth, and Delorme was knocked down in the 10th and then returned the favor in the 12th. Once he was knocked down on the 10th, I thought that was it. That this is, Vargas is going to win this fight.
Because he fades late. They both fade late, but...
Yeah, I mean... Go ahead.
I was going to say, I'm sorry. Delorme is not the most durable guy in the world, whereas Jessie Vargas, even though he fades late, he still tends to hang in there. I don't think he's ever been stopped, Jessie Vargas.
Yeah, I don't think so.
No.
Yeah.
No.
And I don't think anybody expected the fight to be this close.
No, I didn't. No.
In Delorme, I thought his stock went up after this fight.
Yeah.
Because this was supposed to be a showcase for Jessie Vargas.
I got a question. Since it's a part of the tournament and they had a majority draw, does that mean they have to fight one another?
This wasn't part of the tournament, Robbie.
Oh, that's right. It was in Chicago. Wrong card.
No,
sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. It was on DAZN, so that's probably why you got confused.
Right.
Yeah.
No harm, no foul. Go ahead, Eric. I'm sorry. We keep interrupting you.
No, that's fine.
We're effing up the flow of the show for Eric here, man.
Yeah, you guys got no respect for the show.
He's the guy. He's the guy with the show notes and everything, and we're sitting there kind of winging it. But go ahead, Eric. I'm sorry.
So where does Jessie Vargas go from here?
Well,
I mean, does his stock? I mean, I thought his stock went down after the fight. Even I really did. I mean, this is a guy who's got the decision won and gets dropped in that last round, and he didn't think it was a knockdown. I mean, that was a knockdown. He looked at the ref like, "Are you kidding me?" And yeah, it was a clear knockdown there. But what do where do you go from here if you're Jessie Vargas? I mean, I don't.
Well, in terms of the rankings, he's going to end up where he started leading up into this fight. So he's still ranked by the sanctioning bodies. He still could get a shot at Sean Porter because, again, with all due respect to Vargas, you could argue that he is a top 10 fighter, possibly at welterweight, maybe a top 15 lower end, in between 10 and 15 lower end. He's definitely a guy that you can't just go in there and steamroll him and blow him over and blow him out of there. He'll give you some tough rounds. I mean, Pacquiao and Bradley, they found that out that they weren't going to blow this guy out of there. But the thing is I can't see him beating anyone, but I still see him being in the mix. I could see him getting another decent fight, another title fight. Do I think he'll win it? No, but if he still makes a good account of himself, he'll still be getting called up. I mean, this guy always seems to be in the mix with these top fighters. He always gets the big names. He fought Pacquiao, fought Bradley. He's had some decent names on his resume. He fought Adrian Broner. So he's always in big money fights. He's always in fights with big names and with other champions. He's a two-time world champion himself. With that being said, I see him still being in the mix. Did this help him? No. Did it hurt him? Possibly, because he was heavily favored in this fight. He was like a 3-1, 4-1 favorite in this fight, and he ended up walking out with a draw. I didn't think he was going to stop Delorme, but I thought he'd win maybe 8-4, possibly 9-3. But I scored the fight a draw too myself, and I thought Delorme appeared to be the sharper of the two. Particularly, I thought he had the faster hands. I thought early on he was getting off first, and Jessie Vargas is supposed to be a counterpuncher, but Thomas Delorme was throwing some beautiful countered right hands. He was kind of leading him. He was kind of like pulling him in a little bit. He would step and then kind of, step and then lean back, and then Jessie Vargas would follow him in, and then he would catch him with the right hand. So he's kind of leaning forward and then rocking back, and Jessie Vargas was kind of, itching his way up, but then, Delorme would make that little subtle move back, and then Jessie Vargas would have to kind of recalibrate himself a little bit, and then he would have to on the fly just overextend himself. And a lot of times you saw him in this fight, he was leaning forward. He would lean a little bit too far forward, because he was getting put out of range. He thought he was in range, and at the last minute, Delorme was rocking back just that couple inches, and then he had to, reset himself and caught himself leaning in a lot of times, and that's why he was getting caught with the right hand. So Delorme had some tricks up his sleeves. He was real crafty and slick in this fight, and Jessie Vargas was thought to be the better boxer of the two, but I thought Delorme was right there with him in the boxing ability department in this fight. And again, like I said, he was throwing some nice counters in there, and I thought Jessie Vargas was gonna be the more successful counter puncher in this fight, and I don't think he was.
Yeah, I tell you what, it to me, it was an okay fight. And I mean, and I'm with you. I do agree with you when you talked about the names and the naming. It's like these weren't the biggest names in the game, put it that way. And so no, Jessie Vargas versus Thomas Delorme, the actual it does not interest me. I did watch the fight.
I've never been a Vargas fan.
No, I haven't either.
He's
nice guy.
Never really.
He's a nice guy.
I don't know.
What's wrong with Jessie Vargas? I mean, if I saw him at a bar, I don't drink, but I'd buy him a drink. I mean,
you'd buy Jessie Vargas a drink?
I'm a cordial guy. You know what I'm saying? How you doing, Jesse? Would you like?
Gentleman, Beeb.
Want me to buy you a beer, Jesse? I mean,
there it is.
I mean, he had trouble with a guy that when he's not fighting, he drives Uber. I mean, come on, really?
Robbie.
Do you normally approach guys at bars and ask to buy them drinks, Beeb?
Well,
buy Jessie Vargas.
I don't go to those types of bars, Eric. I mean,
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I don't
go to those types of bars. I mean,
never really offered to buy a dude a drink. I mean,
questions about Beeb.
Well, I mean, when you're in,
Robert,
you've never said, this round's on me. I mean, come on, Eric. You're a gentleman. I know that you dip into your pockets every now and then. I know you wouldn't leave people hanging.
I always leave people hanging. I don't care.
Like when I'm out, when Beeb Industries, when we have these business lunches, I put it on the corporate credit card. I mean, I have no problem pulling out the corporate credit card. When I have the interns, when I'm taking the interns out to lunch at Beeb Industries, I pull the credit card out. You gotta treat your staff pretty. You gotta be nice to your staff. That's how it is.
All right. So let's talk about Arthur Beterbiev, or Beterbiev, or however you want to say it. I want to say Beterbiev. I call him Beterbiev. I don't know what everybody else calls him. Versus Callum Johnson. I tell you what, I thought Beterbiev was going to run right through this guy. This was exciting while it lasted.
Oh my God, was it ever?
Definitely the fight of the night, man. Callum Johnson came out aggressive, landed some good shots in the first round, but Beterbiev floored him toward the end of that first round and almost had him out. What was there, about 20 seconds when he got up? I think there was about 30 seconds when he got up.
Yeah.
And, man, Beterbiev almost had him, man. Johnson was very hurt. There's no way he's making it out of that second round.
No.
He made it out of the first round. Beterbiev came out aggressive in the second, trying to finish him off, but Johnson caught him and floored Beterbiev, man. Beterbiev was also hurt after that. He looked about as hurt as Johnson was in the first round.
Yeah.
He was able, obviously, to finish the round. The end came in the fourth round when a solid right hand bounced off the temple of Johnson and put him down for good. I mean, what a fight, man. I mean, and they were talking about, they didn't think the punch landed that solid and that was a punch. Okay. Yeah. That was solid, son.
Yeah. You could see how his head kind of was jarred after it. It was a very short left hook, a very short left hook.
Yeah.
It was a nice punch. It was a nice punch.
Bounced him. I mean, yeah, it was good. So what were your thoughts on Beterbiev, man? I thought Callum Johnson put up a heck of a fight too. I didn't expect him to win, but
no. And it's easy, Beterbiev is thought to be this destroyer, and he's definitely heavy-handed. But Andre Ward made a great statement one time. He said a lot of guys can fight on the inside, they can hold their own on the inside, but they can't defend on the inside. And I couldn't help but think, what would a guy like Eliter Alvarez do to a guy like Beterbiev? A seasoned guy like him, a guy who's who can fight on the inside and on the outside, a guy who can throw to the body, a guy who can really shorten up his shots when he has to, when he's up close, and still land really clean with authority. And Beterbiev does not move his head. He squares up on the inside, and when he punches, his head stays right in the center. He doesn't tuck his chin. He's not like, moving his head off to the side after he punches. His head is like right there, and he can be touched. And he was touched enough in this fight where if you're a guy like Alvarez, you're probably licking your chops right now, or even any of these guys. So I think he's still got some work to do, even though he is a champion. But he punches that hard enough where one punch can turn the fight. But he's vulnerable enough where he can get caught out there too. So I enjoy watching him fight. I think he's a good fighter, but I think he's got some defensive liabilities. And I think a guy like Alvarez, or even a guy like Sergey Kovalev, may be able to have some success against him. But Sergey Kovalev is really not a good inside fighter. But also too, if you saw Callum Johnson, he muscled him a lot. He bodied him a lot on the inside. He was able to manhandle him a little bit on the inside. Once again, Alvarez has that style too, to do something like that. Abadu Jack, very good inside fighter. He could have some success against him on the inside because he's really big, strong kid on the inside. So I think that he's a threat because of the punching power, but I think it's not etched in stone that he can run this division. My guy is Alvarez. I like Eliter Alvarez. I think he's the best fighter in the division.
There you go. All right, let's talk about Jarrell Big Baby Miller versus Thomas Adamek. Butterbean version 2.0. Jarrell Miller knocked out Thomas Adamek in the second round. Jarrell Miller weighed in at 317 pounds.
Oh my God!
Let that sink in for a minute. 317.
Yeah, but that's the most ripped 317 you're ever gonna see. I mean, did you see the upper body?
What are you watching, son?
Did you see the back on that guy?
Son, that's not rips; those are folds, son. There's a big difference.
At work when you pull the screen down to show slides. I wouldn't even need that. I just put Big Baby Miller up against the wall and use his back for the slideshow. This guy's got a gigantic back, man. The chest.
Yeah, he's 317 pounds. Of course, he has a gigantic back.
This guy's the
Wade Adamek by 90 pounds.
He's the most aesthetically pleasing 317 you're ever going to see.
400 pounds?
What's that?
Robbie, you got to stop with this fat shaming. I mean, please.
Yeah, Robert, what's the matter?
Please, Robbie.
Fat shaming the guy.
You're gonna alienate a fan base.
Oh, come on.
You're gonna alienate a fan base. People aren't gonna want to listen to this show because of the fat shaming.
He's amazing. He's a person too, Robert. I mean, really, that's terrible.
Please.
370. Are you serious?
Jesus wow. Christ. Oh, come on, Robert. Give him a break.
Please.
He likes burritos. What do you want me to tell you? All right. He's a person too. He has feelings. What's the matter with you? Outweighed Adamek by 90 pounds. 90. And Adamek came in at like what, 227?
Yeah.
He outweighed him by 90 pounds. Can we take Miller seriously given the fact he comes in over 300 pounds and he was clearly out of shape for this fight?
No.
Clearly out of shape for the fight. I don't care what.
I thought he was solid. I thought he was solid as a rock, man. I mean, when he moves, I don't see anything jiggling.
You ain't paying attention.
I'm a Big Baby Miller fan, baby.
He had 90 extra pounds on him.
Cheeseburger, baby.
Cheeseburger. And it's not even like, I mean, how much did George Foreman weigh in his heyday? Was it 260?
260, yeah.
Well, when he came back, he weighed about 260 or whatever. But really, 317. That's offensive lineman territory.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And then they said, could Big Baby Miller be a threat to Anthony Joshua? And Sergio Mora was like, yeah.
Not at that weight.
He said what?
He said, yeah. Chris Matthews was pretty high on. He was pushing for a Joshua Big Baby Miller fight over a Dillian White fight if the Wilder fight couldn't be made.
Well,
oh my God.
I mean,
Would you rather see him versus Joshua or Dillian White versus Joshua?
I don't know. I don't want to see either one of them. I don't want to see either one of them.
That's a good answer. That's a good answer.
On the airplane instead of one?
What's this?
Well, you know, a lot of the airlines now charge you extra money.
Robbie,
Wow.
please.
Wow.
Enough.
Awful, son.
Enough, Robbie.
That was awful.
Now you're saying
family.
now you're saying they got to throw him in a crate and put him in storage.
Wow.
That's totally unacceptable. Please.
Dwayne M said Big Baby Miller would be a threat at the buffet. You guys are terrible.
Next time he's in town, I'm going to take him to the Yucatan buffet, man, right down the street. That Chinese buffet that I
Put
like.
him out of business, son.
Me and him will go to town.
Did you say the Yucatan buffet?
Yeah, that's what it's called.
And it's a Chinese buffet?
Yeah, it's incredible. That's a Japanese name. They have sushi there too.
No, the
but
Yucatan. Yucatan?
Yeah,
that's the city of Mexico, isn't it? Yucatan?
Yeah, it is.
I don't know.
Yeah, it
What
is.
are you guys doing
Maybe I'm pronouncing it wrong. You know, I'm not
backwards up in Boston, man. You got
I don't know how to pronounce everything.
Chinese
All the time.
restaurants. What are you doing over there? You over there buying guys drinks in bars? What's the matter with you?
I mean, you know, it's good PR.
17 pounds worth. He won the damn fight.
It's good PR. You know, the Beeb industry. We try to make a good name for ourselves here in America.
America. So Beeb, do you think he poses?
Anybody to call up and support him weighing that much?
Wow.
I really do.
Robbie, please.
That makes no.
Just because he can't buy clothes off the rack that you and I can, he's still a human being, Robbie.
Oh wow! You guys,
how do you know he doesn't have a thyroid problem? You don't know that
because he's got to get a physical before the fight.
That's right.
How do you know he doesn't have a thyroid issue though? He can still fight with a thyroid issue.
He ain't got a thyroid issue, son. He's got a Taco Bell issue.
I've got a thyroid issue, and I don't weigh 317 pounds.
That's right, Robbie's
because you're hyperglycemic. He's hypo. Possibly, I don't know. I didn't see his physical. Oh God, we're going down a rat hole. We're going down a rat hole now.
Do you think he poses a threat to Jarrell? Do you think he poses a threat to Anthony Joshua?
I have a hard time seeing it. No,
yeah, I have a hard time seeing it too.
I like the guy, but I can't see it. I can't see him beating Anthony Joshua.
Man, Joshua would have so much to work with. I mean, my God.
Oh my God, that'd be a showcase for Joshua. Yeah, you know what? All Joshua would have to do was press him, pick up the pace.
Yeah,
and he's going to tire out. He doesn't, you know, he can go the distance and he's got stamina because he fights at their pace. He's like a James Toney where he makes guys fight at his pace.
Correct.
But if a guy and a more experienced fighter will make him fight at a faster pace,
yeah,
it's over for him.
Yeah,
he's not going to be able to carry that.
Would give him problems. Wilder would give him problems. Fury would give him problems. Dillian White would give him problems. Probably Joseph Parker would give him problems. I mean, realistically, guys.
Bobby, the way you're talking about him, we could pull someone up friggin' the corner, and he would give him problems too. I mean, jeepers. Who doesn't give the guy problems? He's got more problems than Jay-Z.
He's got 99 problems.
He's got 9,900 problems.
Like Saul Rungside, well, he got girl problems.
Can you guys be realistic and say that he can fight any of the top heavyweights and he'd be successful?
I don't know. I mean, no. I mean, like Dillian White and guys like that. No. I mean, I don't even think he doesn't beat Louis Ortiz. He doesn't beat Dillian White. He doesn't beat Anthony Joshua, Wilder, Fury, anybody. I don't think he beats any of them.
No. So, I mean, I've got to ask.
What's his record?
Why hasn't a trainer got a hold of him and with the conditioning coach and
put
him in better shape? Because he's obviously got the talent. But
you know, it's funny. He says when he gets under 300 pounds, he gets lightheaded. That's freaking hilarious.
That guy's a comic, son.
That's funny.
Butterbean 2.0.
He's undefeated. He's got a draw. I think he's like 26-0 or something like that.
Something like that. 21. What does he got? 21 wins? How many wins? He's in his 20s, but yeah, I mean, he hasn't fought anybody in the top 10, I don't believe. Has he?
Let me see let me take a look at his record.
Box record.
Yeah, I'm curious to box record. See what he's got here.
At this point, at that size, he's just a damn sideshow.
He's 22-0-1.
Who's on any more names we recognize on there?
He fought Duapis. He fought Maurice Wack. He knocked out Jarrell Washington, the guy that gave Wilder problems early on.
He's fought decent, like fringe heavyweights.
He knocked out Fred Cassie in 3 rounds. That's a
yeah. He's fought fringe heavyweights. You know, they weren't like killers. They weren't upper echelon guys.
Maurice Wack is not bad.
He's fought some good competition.
I guess Maurice Wack was ranked. Johnny Duapis was ranked, but these are kind of lower ranked guys. So yeah. All
right. So Robert, you give Jarrell Miller no chance.
No chance. Not against the top heavyweight. No way.
What about against Joey Chestnut? Do you give him a chance with him?
You know the perfect guy he could fight, and I'm being serious here because he's also had weight issues. Andy Ruiz.
That's a good fight. That's a decent fight. I don't hate that. But where's Andy Ruiz been?
Well, that's the problem.
Andy Ruiz gave Joseph Parker hell.
Yeah, he did. So, a lot of people thought he beat him.
Yeah,
I did.
Yeah, you know what?
Ruiz won that fight.
You know what, Miller? He's like Areola, like Chris Areola. Remember when he wins a fight, he was like, I should be able to eat whatever I want in training camp. I'm a heavyweight. I can do this and that.
Yeah.
He fought Klitschko. He got beat pretty sound. And everybody was telling him, hey, you shouldn't, you got to take this seriously and stuff.
Yeah.
That's the route that's who Miller really reminds me of.
And Wilder just destroyed him. Remember that.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about Danny Roman versus Gavin McDonald, WBA super bantamweight title. Roman knocked out McDonald in the 10th round. He looked good, man. He looked good. Yeah. I'm not gonna take anything away. I thought he looked pretty good. Any thoughts, Beeb?
Danny Roman, he was having a little bit of issues here and there with the jab and with McDonald trying to create space. But he made some adjustments. He stepped off to the side a little bit. He would come in and he would step off to the side. He would create punching angles for himself. He would get underneath the jab. So he showed some versatility in this fight because this fight was in the balance, I thought. And then I think in the 8th round, he really turned it up a little bit, and then he started wearing McDonald down. But if you notice when he landed that right hand, he made that quick little sidestep, and then McDonald was out of position because he just got through throwing a jab, and he kind of stepped off to the side, and McDonald was kind of like this, leaning to that side, right in the path of the right hand, and he had the presence of mind to just create that punching angle for himself, make that little subtle move to his right, and boom, he created that opening where a lot of guys may not have created that opening. They may have missed that opportunity. So I give him credit for extemporaneously making that adjustment and making that little sidestep. So he can fight. He can fight, this kid. He's a smart fighter.
Yeah, very good. All right, on ESPN Plus, we're gonna go ahead.
A good fighter. So
all right, on ESPN Plus, we have Daniel Dubois versus Kevin the Kingpin Johnson. Dubois wins a unanimous decision, easy unanimous decision, 100-91 on all 3 cards. Jack Catterall versus O'Hara Davies. Catterall defeats Davies by unanimous decision, 118, 110, 115, 113 twice. So there you go. Robert, your boy. I know you're trying to give him lady advice and everything like that. From Thailand, Srisaketsor Rungvisai versus Iran Diaz. Rungvisai coming back. The advice he gave him worked. Rungvisai wins a unanimous decision over Diaz by the scores of 119-109, 120-108, and 119-109. So there you go. Luis Neri was in action this weekend too. He won his fight. I think he won it by a 3rd round knockout, if I'm not mistaken. So there you go. Beeb. It's time. Elena,
chugga, choo-choo.
Nice recovery. Love it.
Excellent day.
Changed it up and everything. I love it.
Baby.
You know,
making adjustments like a fighter would.
You're so much better than Beeb. Beeb makes me want to kill puppies when he does this. All right, it's awful.
Beeb sounds like he's killing puppies when he does it.
That's right. Beeb sounds like he's makes me want to kill small animals. All right. The train wreck of the week: Conor McGregor versus Khabib Nurmagomedov. Beeb, we watched this fight. You did a show on it today. Khabib Nurmagomedov, easy for me to say. Did you notice how during the build-up they would call this Conor versus Khabib? Khabib's like the guy's first name. They're not pronouncing his last name.
I try to do that myself. I for the life of me, I have a hard time pronouncing that last name.
Yeah. So Khabib retained his title last night via 4th round submission over Conor McGregor. Khabib caught him with a neck crank in the 4th. Overall, it was a good fight, man. I had the fight 2-1. I gave Conor the 3rd round. But I mean, hey, that 3rd round really could have gone either way, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it was a close round.
For sure.
Conor may have edged it, but the rounds that Khabib won, he won clear and decisive.
Overwhelming. Yeah. I had a 2-1 again at the time of the stoppage for Khabib. At the end of the fight, Khabib got into an argument with one of McGregor's training partners in the audience, Dylan Dennis. Khabib then threw his mouthpiece and then climbed the cage and then dove into the crowd. All right, he dove into the crowd. And this was no ordinary, like, he just stepped down and walked over. No, he dove. He tried to jump on the guy, all right, and tried to fight him. A fight ensues outside the cage between the two. Meanwhile, inside the cage, a member of Khabib's team confronted Conor and started punching him. I mean, he was very aggressive and started, so Conor, I guess, clipped him with a left hand. It looked like he clipped him with a left hand. Another member of Khabib's team jumped the fence while this was going on and then hit McGregor twice in the head from behind. And both guys that were in the cage started swinging on McGregor are fighters, so they know what they're doing. They know how to hit and all that other good stuff. So it wasn't just two like regular Joes out there. The aftermath: 3 people from Khabib's team were arrested. Khabib's purse was withheld by the Nevada State Athletic Commission. Khabib will most likely be suspended by the commission. The governor of Nevada was at the fight and rushed out of the arena when the chaos ensued. Dana White said that the 3 people from Khabib's team that were arrested were released when Conor refused to press charges. You got to be kidding me. I mean, this was a black eye on the sport. It was a black eye on the night. Can you imagine? I mean, what could have happened there is it could have just erupted into a riot. And they're lucky because there was a billion Irishmen there. There was a bunch of Russian guys there. They're all fueled up. Everybody, everybody who's, you guys have all been to fights before. Did you ever notice, Beeb, when you go to fights, everybody in the crowd now thinks they're a fighter? And they're like puffed out. It's not like you go to like a, watch a baseball game.
Yeah.
And everybody's fueled up, When you go to a fight, it's a different thing. And when you go to a UFC fight or an MMA fight, it's like tenfold. Everybody thinks they're a fighter. Everybody thinks they can get in the cage and all this other great stuff, And
then people think because they're a fan of a fighter, it's like they have these cults. You have a cult. And I want to just interrupt you and say one thing that, even during the weigh-in, one of Conor McGregor's fans punched a female Magdamov fan in the face. That's how fucking bad it is. That's how bad these cults are and how personal, these people take it. I mean, this fight was divided and you had 2 sets of fans, but they were divided not by, who's the better fighter. This wasn't just my fighter is better than your fighter. This was a political divide. This was an ideological divide, and this was a social divide. So this was almost like politics, like the country's divided right now. This was like on that type of level of division, of vitriol. That's how bad this was. This was not just another fight. Khabib was 100% correct when he said this was not just another fight. And the fans basically adopted that same mindset when they were watching this fight and during the buildup. But go ahead and finish. I'm sorry. Yeah, no, I mean that's correct. That's 100% correct, man.
I don't get it. I don't get this mentality, but like, they just ride with these guys, and they're not part of the entourage. They're not part of anything. And like you said, one of the fans punched another fan in the face. Why? What is the point of that? I mean, really, what is the point of that?
Yeah.
I mean, you think you're going to get a cut of Conor's payday? You're not. You're not going to get a cut of it. You're not going to get, I mean, it's just silly, man. I mean, the whole thing is just silly. And Conor, I tell you what, though, and a lot of people point to Conor and everything. Listen, I didn't condone the bus incident either. When he threw the dolly at the bus and everything like that. I mean, it was in Brooklyn. I think it was in Brooklyn, wasn't it? Where he threw the dolly and threw it at the bus.
Yeah.
The window.
Yeah.
Michael Chiesa got glass parts in his eye, I guess glass particles in his eye or something like that.
Corneal abrasion. Yeah.
Yeah. There was somebody, whoever was sitting next to Chiesa got hurt too. Rose Namajunas hasn't fought since then. I mean, she's been, she was really like emotionally damaged over this, that this happened. I mean, it was, they were attacked, and they were looking for Khabib, and that was, I thought he should have been arrested for that. And he was. I mean, I think he was, because he turned himself in. They were looking for him.
That's assault with a deadly weapon. That's aggravated assault. That's got to be. You or I do that. We're gonna have a felony on our record. We're not gonna get off with a fine and probation like he did.
Right.
And not only that, the disgusting part about the whole thing was Dana White used this video clip.
He did
over and over again to promote this fight.
To promote the fight.
So
why would you use a criminal action like that to promote the fight?
So am I going to say you're complicit in this? Not directly, but possibly indirectly. I mean, you set the tone along with Conor, and you're the guy that's sitting in the corner lying when Conor McGregor is saying things like, if this was a different time, I would invade Fafala on horseback and kill anyone that was not fit to work. He said that to Jose Aldo. And then he called Khabib's manager a snitch, terrorist rat, and said that he was involved in 9/11. And then he called Khabib's father a quivering coward for not murdering a Chechen dictator, Ramzan Kadyrov. And then he said my Chechen friends, they told me that they have chicken jaws in Dagestan. Like, this is borderline bigotry. This is borderline bigotry.
It is.
And the way the country's divided right now, and we hang on the words that everyone says, particularly our president, everything he says, we hang on. And again, he says some pretty outlandish things. And then he's basically throwing gasoline on the fire, him and Dana White, by Dana White showing that clip. And I'm not saying he condoned what happened, but he was basically glorifying it and thought it was good for the story of the fight when he was asked about why he did it and did he regret doing it. And he said no. And meanwhile, Conor McGregor's in Ireland at a Bellator event. He's jumping in a cage and he's hitting an official. And he's not even involved in that fight, or was he involved in the car that was going on in New York? And this guy's never faced a suspension. He's never faced jail time. He's never had been dealt with to the level that anyone else that did the same things would have been dealt with. And now Khabib's probably going to get a 1-year suspension for doing something that I do not condone 1 ounce, but I understand why it happened. I understand why it happened. I don't condone it, but the human being in me, putting myself in his position, I could empathize with him. You can still empathize with Khabib, but not condone the action. Okay? I can empathize with him more so than I can empathize with Conor McGregor. Because, this whole thing about hyping fights, freedom of speech, all that comes with consequences and repercussions. You can say whatever you want to anybody, okay? You have that right. Anything short of yelling fire in a crowd. You could say pretty much anything you want. But keep in mind that you have to deal with the repercussions of what you say. And this was going to, did I think this was going to happen? No. But I will say this. I knew at the end of this fight there wasn't going to be a handshake or a hug. And I suspected strongly that if Conor McGregor fans ran into Khabib fans at a hotel lobby, at a restaurant, walking out of the arena onto the streets. I suspected strongly that this thing was going to, these two groups of people were going to brawl and they were going to fight. Did I suspect that the camps were going to do this? No. Did I suspect Khabib was going to jump into the crowd and attack Conor's team? No. But I knew this thing wasn't over, and it's still not over. And Dana White was asked at the post-fight press conference, is he going to talk to these two camps? Is he going to do anything about it? And once again, he dismissed it as trash talking. No, Dana. This is some street shit, like you said. And sometimes, the two leaders of the gangs have to get together and they need to sit down. Just like, if this is real street shit. And when there's too many casualties on both sides and it comes to a head and it ends up being a stalemate and it cannot get any better than it is, it can only get worse. The two leaders of the gangs have a sit down and they squash the beef. Something like that needs to get done here, or this thing's just going to keep escalating and escalating, in my opinion.
Yeah, it was not a good scene, man. I'll tell you what, it was not a good scene at all. Again, you have the situation in there, and then you got to think about, like, when you take off and fly out of the cage. Again, I understand the pent-up aggression. Khabib handled himself professionally all throughout. I mean, he couldn't have been more of a champion all throughout the promotion and everything like that. He did everything he was supposed to do, and then the fight ends. He gets the result he wants, and then he goes berserk. And then that's the time he lost it. I just, I don't get it. I mean, and again, I understand the pent-up aggression. He said a lot of vile stuff to him. But to go out there and then start a fight in the crowd where possibly, like I said, man, at that point, you're looking at a riot situation, a possible riot situation. It was just awful. Just awful. Now, the UFC, I don't think, is going to suspend him. The Nevada State Athletic Commission is going to suspend him, and that's what he's got to worry about. And they were talking about he may get his green card, his visa taken away, and this and that. And the problem is, and you say, well, what about McGregor? The problem is it didn't take place in Nevada. It took place in New York. That's number one difference. So the New York Commission chose to do what they did, but Las Vegas doesn't mess around, man. And Las Vegas may suspend this guy. And if they're talking about Michael Bisping last night was talking about how tough it is to get a work visa and everything like that, and a green card and that. And this may not be good, man. This may not be good for him. I can't see them revoking it, but again, he's not Conor. There's a big difference between Khabib and Conor as far as popularity goes. He doesn't have that, there shouldn't be, and it shouldn't, but it is. He doesn't, and so he may pay a bigger price than what Conor paid in New York. And Conor lost millions over that whole thing. He lost a lot of money. When you think about endorsements, when you think about lawyer fees, when you think about fines levied and all that other good stuff, he lost a lot of money. I don't know if Khabib is going to be that lucky to get what Conor got. You know what I mean? And be fighting again in 6 months later. I don't know that it'll be that lucky, man. That's for sure. So I don't know, but not a good look for the sport, man, for sure. Not a good look at all. So there you go. All right. Let's talk about, D-Style. D-Style's on the phone. Apparently he's got something to say. So we're going to bring him on here from El Paso. 915, you're live.
All right, guys, really quick. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, so I'm on limited time, so it won't be that long either way. So
yeah.
Look, I got to co-sign a lot of what Joe Khabib was saying. Okay, I happened to check into this show. I knew what he was talking about. What I want to say is the following. Okay, if Dana White wants to promote gangster shit, then he has to be prepared for gangster shit, right? Look, Khabib, I honestly don't believe I don't think he understands. Everyone has a different culture. Like cultures are different. I don't think he understands the whole, like, oh, don't worry. Like, he's just trying to promote the fight. I think he took a lot of what Conor McGregor said very personally.
Oh,
right?
sure.
And
Yeah.
I think that showed. I think that showed in the fight. I don't think he took. I don't think he took any of this like, oh, we're just promoting the fight, we're just trying to sell more tickets or any of that. UFC fighters get flat fees anyway. Like, I don't think he cared about any of that. I think he took a lot of what Conor McGregor said personally, and to be honest with you, I don't see why he wouldn't. Right?
Right.
I mean, he talked about the dude's dad. He talked about his religion. I mean, he talked about his family. He talked about his ethnicity, right? I mean, these are not things you talk about and expect some, tame response. If you expect this guy to like choke this dude out and then just say, "All right, we're all good," it's not going to happen, right? It just isn't going to happen. And this actually is a truth in both worlds, not just MMA but boxing, right? What a lot of fans have to understand is that not everyone's playing along in this game of, oh, we're just trying to promote the fight to make the fight bigger. And if you start making things personal for people, they're going to take it personal, and they don't care about the whole how many tickets were sold or how many pay-per-views were sold. And that's when things start getting very personal, right? In the case of MMA, what I'm personally noticing, this is not so much the case in boxing, right? When a boxer has like a training camp, they go to Big Bear or something, it's them and their personal trainer, maybe their nutritionist or something like that. In MMA, what I am noticing, and it was like this in the old school days of boxing, but not much anymore. It's like these gyms and these crews and these kind of like these groups of people that get together, like I'm trying to find a right word for it, but
almost like a gang.
It's what is that?
I said almost like a gang. I mean, if you think about it, they're all grouped up.
I don't want to call it a gang just because, a team that gets together and trains in MMA isn't necessarily a gang.
Well, I guess
they're not out there like with Uzi shooting people,
Right.
The nice word you could use would be entourage.
There you go. It's like an entourage, It's kind of like, it reminds me of the old school. You remember like hip hop back in the day when Tupac was saying like, if you're down with Bad Boy, then fuck you and fuck them as a crew and this, that, and the third.
Yeah.
It kind of seems like that. It's like that culture in MMA is, you got like Jackson's Gym, and then you got, All American, Kickboxing Academy, and then you have Conor's team that kind of made their own crew, kind of. So, and this is nothing new. It's if you put Conor aside, not that many years ago, if you guys remember on Strikeforce, there was Nick Diaz's crew and this other, I forget the name of the fighter, but both sides started to brawl each other inside the octagon.
That was Mayhem Miller.
Yeah,
Jason Miller.
Was it Mayhem Miller?
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
so
and,
that's what I'm noticing. There's this like these crews being built, and I know that's not by design. It just happens to be how it's evolved. So Dana has to be careful on how he promotes these fights. If you use that to promote the fight, then that's going to transpire after the fights. And that's what you saw. Like it's Khabib choked out one of the crew members, and the grappling coach was talking shit outside the cage, and that's why he jumped outside and attacked him. That's what's happening here. I mean, this is surreal. The closest thing I could, like, this doesn't really happen in boxing. The closest thing I could think of is maybe Bo Holyfield, but that wasn't even really the case.
Well, I thought
you talking about when the guy parachuted into the ring?
Yeah, like that was just like an unforeseen circumstance.
I thought of the Mayweather Zab Judah fight. Yeah, I thought of the Mayweather Zab Judah fight. I also thought of the Riddick Bowe Andrew Galata fight when this went down.
Well, like Mayweather Zab Judah was more of a Zab Judah was low blowing Mayweather, and that's why. And I'm not excusing that.
Right.
But it was a circumstantial circumstance. Okay, I know I'm using that word twice, but in this case, in MMA in particular, these gyms and these crews are feuding against one another. It is very gang-like.
Yeah.
Like, I hate to use that word, but that's really what it is.
Yeah.
That doesn't really happen in boxing that much. Like you don't see this gang-like behavior in boxing. It's just different. You know, in MMA, I am noticing that culture kind of there, you know, and
Yes.
that's something I think they got to clean up a little bit.
Very much. Very much. They have to limit, you know, they really have to limit entourages. I believe in both sports. You have to limit the entourage. You can't have 50 people in the back. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. I mean,
Well, Eric,
it's a different entourage, though. In boxing, the entourage is like you got your trainer, then you got your cut man, and then you got a bunch of their homeboys that are just there.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
In MMA, like you have like your striking coach and your grappling coach and your Muay Thai coach. Like it's all dudes that are really
they have their sparring partners around with them too. And,
it's also fighters, like fighters that also fight on undercards and stuff like that.
Yeah, they're sparring partners too.
It's a different entourage in MMA, I've noticed.
Yeah, they're bigger. They're bigger.
Yeah, well, and here's another possibility that's gonna worry people. I was watching the ESPN2 fights on Thursday, and all the Golden Boy people could talk about is how excited they are about getting involved in MMA, and because the card that they're going to have is going to be on pay-per-view in November. And I'm thinking to myself, you have trouble getting fighters for boxers. What the hell are you trying to do getting involved in another sport? You know?
Yeah, I don't know what Golden Boy is doing. Nobody wants to see an old Chuck Liddell versus an Ortiz. I might be wrong, but I don't think anybody wants to see that.
Yeah, I don't want to see it.
Aside from old washed-up fighters, I don't know who else it will sign, to be honest with you. I don't think that's going to last. Golden Boy tried to get involved with that Affliction back in the day, if you remember.
They sure did, didn't they? Yeah.
Yeah.
And Affliction had a lot of good guys in it, man.
But MMA in particular, I do believe they have to control this kind of, you know, I can't find the right word for it. I really can't. Not without sounding like I'm a hater or something like that, which I don't want to be.
Yeah.
But there's this, you know, crew-like mentality.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
they're all kind of going at it.
You could consider it a mafia mentality also.
Yeah, I mean, you can. I mean, I don't want to go as far as mafia. When I think mafia, I'm really thinking like more serious stuff, to be honest.
Yeah.
But so that's why I don't want to kind of dive into that. But no doubt, what happened, the Khabib McGregor thing. I mean, think about it. McGregor felt like Khabib was disrespectful to one of his teammates, and that's why he jumped into the cage in one event, and he attacked the bus in one event.
We attacked the referee in the one
Khabib
event.
jumped out of the cage. This is why members of Khabib's team jumped into the cage and attacked McGregor. This is very unique here. Like the culture in MMA, as far as their training comrades and stuff like that. There's nothing wrong with that, but there seems to be like this kind of, you know, I can't find the right word for it, but it is a little troublesome because I got to be honest with you. The riots that occurred in boxing had nothing to really do with that. Like Mike Tyson biting the ear of Holyfield had nothing to do with two crews going at it. Like, it had nothing to do with it. It's just that this one fighter lost his cool. He bit a guy's ear twice, and they had to kind of deal with that, you know? Maybe the crowd got, you know, angry because, you know, the fight was stopped or something like that. But in this particular case, and I've seen it on and on in MMA, not only UFC, but in Strikeforce and other MMA promotions, is that two different crews start to beef with one another, very similar to like the hip hop beefs. And I think I think there's a little bit of a problem with that, to be honest with you. You know, that's just my honest take.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, I agree with everything you said. I really do. I mean, it's they're building more of that culture, and I see it on both sides. I really do. I see it on both boxing side, and I also see it on MMA side. MMA side, for whatever reasons, tends to be more explosive.
Well,
but
the
yeah,
MMA side is very unique, though. I have to be honest with you. I'm not saying that there's never been a problem with two corners going at it. I mean, look, I think, was it Roy Jones's trainer that knocked out John Ruiz's trainer, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not going to act like there's never been, like, you know, beef or problems. But in MMA, it really is a gang kind of mentality, you know?
right.
Like they feel like some type of loyalty to their you know, to their crew, and it's very different. It honestly is. The crews I see, like when you see Mayweather walk out, like Mayweather's walking out with his bodyguards and with rappers, like, you know, like when he would walk out with I forget his name, but 50 Cent, you know, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's his crew, you know? Like Mayweather's not walking out with a bunch of boxers, you know, and that's his crew. In MMA, the crew literally consists of, you know, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belts and Muay Thai specialists and you know, fighters from other divisions. That's literally their crew, you know? And I'm honestly seeing a trend of crews beefing with one another and going, and in some cases, like in Strikeforce, going at it. And I just think that there's something has to be done about that, because I don't think the commissions are going to tolerate like riots like that happening. I mean, you got to keep in mind, the reason Khabib jumped out of that cage was because Conor McGregor's grappling coach, right, was talking shit to him. That's why he jumped out of the cage.
Yeah, but that
I don't
can't.
know what he said.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter what he
right?
said. You can't do that. And anybody who justifies that and says, "Well, you know, I mean, you have like childlike thinking if you think he did the right thing." Just like if you say that Conor McGregor, you know, if Khabib, you know, confronted Artem, you know, one of his Artem Lobov or whatever, Khabib confronted him with a whole crew and it was just one guy, and then Conor came with his crew and Conor was correct in doing that. If you justify what Conor did, it's like you think like a child, or you're not thinking like a rational
adult. What we have to do is condone none of it. Is what we have to do.
100%. None of it should have happened. None of it.
But I gotta be honest with you. A lot of it is that, you know, crew mentality, right? I think that sounds a little better than gang mentality.
Sure.
Right. But a lot of these MMA gyms or whatever you want to call it are beefing with one another. And there's many cases where it's causing riots in the ring. I just think it's a problem. I think they have to. I don't know what the solution is. I honestly don't. But they have to find a solution to it.
I would agree. All right, D-Style, thank you so much for the call, man. We appreciate it. Thank you, sir. It was a good take. Good take by D-Style. So, Beeb, I see you going back and forth in the chat with hand wraps in here. So let's just get it straight, though. You don't agree or condone.
I don't agree or I don't condone it, but
I think we all understand it.
I think
understand it.
I think Conor and Dana White have to own part of this.
Really?
That's my opinion. I do. I think that Conor and Dana White added fuel to the fire, and they created the atmosphere for this to happen, in my opinion. Because if you didn't show that bus incident as part of the promo and show it over and over again in the build-up to this fight, if you don't laugh when Conor McGregor says these crazy things, if you don't laugh when Conor McGregor at every weigh-in slaps his opponent, if you don't laugh when Conor McGregor's throwing bottles at people, if you don't suspend Conor McGregor when he jumps in Bellator cages in events that he's not, hand wrap says, oh, you should respect the cage. Hand wraps, he jumped in a Bellator cage and hit a referee.
Right, but it was wrong.
I know that. But what I'm saying is, what needed to be done was he needed to be made an example of. He didn't get any suspension. Okay? So basically, what you're telling everyone is, because he's basically the name of the promotion. So he's going to be able to do whatever he wants. But if you guys do it, you lose your contract, and you get suspended, and you get fined. He did not serve one suspension for anything he's done, and he committed a criminal offense, which is a felony, and you or I would have been in jail. And
Sure.
Dana White laughs about it, and he took that incident, which was a felony, and he used it to promote the fight over and over again, did a special about it, and showed the whole incident in its entirety.
So you're saying because Khabib was bullied, because that's essentially what we're saying here, that Khabib was bullied, he was justified in doing what he did?
I think he was justified in doing what he did. What I'm saying is I don't like how Dana White is jumping all over what Khabib did, but when he was asked the same questions about Conor McGregor in New York and in Ireland, said, "Oh, I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying we're going to suspend them. We'll have to, he'll have to deal with the legal aspects of this, and then we'll have to wait until then." Right now, he's basically saying that that Khabib's going to get suspended. How come Conor didn't get suspended?
Well, because and he's saying Khabib is going to get suspended, but Dana's not going to suspend him. That's the difference. Dana's not going to suspend Khabib. The Nevada State Athletic Commission is going to suspend Khabib.
But you don't think that Dana White smoothed things over with New York? You don't think he was involved in that? I
really don't, because it wasn't even in the athletic commissions. It was more in the courts over there. It wasn't even. I don't even know what the athletic commission.
But it was part of the event.
Athletic commission.
But it was part of the event, though.
I agree. But New York.
So what about Bellator? What about that? Like, that wasn't part of an athletic commission over in Ireland when he did?
Yeah, that's another thing I don't understand either.
Should he? So what I'm saying is,
should he have gotten suspended? Should he have gotten fined to the gills and suspended? 100%. Why it didn't happen, I have no idea. Now, if Khabib doesn't get suspended, it's a shame, but it is what it is. The only way you're going to stop this nonsense is to start pulling down some penalties, like some harsh.
That's my argument.
Yes.
Like, when is Conor McGregor going to be suspended? When is someone going to tell him no? When is someone going to tell him you're wrong? Instead of having Dana White laughing at everything he does. And come on now. With all due respect, Dana White dismissed everything Conor McGregor did as trash talk. That's not trash talk. That's bigotry.
Leading into the fight, yeah. But okay, well, let me ask you this, and I'm going to go dark for a minute here. All right, so so he's bullied and he does something stupid. What about the kids in school that are bullied and they do crazy stuff too? You know what I mean? And with with stabbings and shootings and everything like that. I mean, do we understand them as well?
My whole question is this. I don't condone anything that happened last night. Zero. Nothing justifies it. But what I'm saying is possibly the whole situation could have been calmed down. The climate could have been different. Dana White could have done more, except instead of just getting the security, if you're putting extra security there, right? That's like saying, okay, if you have cancer, it's all right, I'll just give you the medicine for the cancer instead of changing up your lifestyle to prevent yourself from, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. That's the kind of example I'm making. Now, Khabib's going to get punished. Does he deserve to get punished? Yeah. But can we agree what Conor has done in the past and was allowed to get away with from a contract standpoint? He paid fines to courts, but he's never paid fines to commissions. He's never paid fines to the UFC's never made him pay a fine. The UFC has never punished Conor McGregor. Never.
Right, but the UFC hasn't punished Khabib either.
Well, they're going to strip him of his title.
Well, they can only strip him of his title. Listen, if he's suspended, they're not going to strip him of his title unless he's suspended for a year or longer. And what they'll probably do is put an interim title in there.
Okay, but the UFC shouldn't just say, oh, we're going to do whatever the commission says. We're going to do this. They need to step in, and they need to have, they need to, enforce their own moral clauses here.
They don't control it. They don't control it. The Nevada State Commission controls it.
But Eric, all of the other people that were involved in that event with Conor McGregor, they were fired. They were fired. The UFC has the authority to say to Conor McGregor, we're going to keep you on the shelf for a year. They could have done that because everyone else that was involved in that event, they got fired. So what I'm saying is they need to be consistent in how they treat fighters. And they could they have prevented this with 100% certainty? I can't say that. But could they have cooled down the atmosphere a little bit? Could they have put their foot down with Conor a little bit? Could they have pulled Conor McGregor aside and say, hey, man, you can't say that? And even in the Mayweather promotion, he was saying racial things to Mayweather. He was crossing the line there.
You know what they say about assault? You know what the court is going to say about assault? That words cannot provoke a fight.
I agree.
Words cannot.
But that's not in the real world, Eric.
100% is in the real world.
Has anyone ever said something to you and you just snapped and you said to yourself, maybe I shouldn't have done that?
Absolutely. But the thing is, again, you're in control of your emotions. Nobody else is in control of them. You are in control of your emotions. Now, it's up to you to decide, hey, do I do this? Do I make that next step and just go crazy and hit this guy or jump into the crowd or do whatever? That's your call.
Well, let me ask,
you're the only one making that call.
Let me ask you this. And this isn't to justify anything because two wrongs don't make a right. But what Khabib did last night, was it worse than what Conor McGregor did in New York? In your opinion?
I don't think it was any better, any worse. I really don't.
Okay.
I think the potential for both was great because again, Conor injured innocent fighters.
I thought it was worse because Conor
a career.
Yeah.
I mean, just the way he went about it. Khabib could have caused a riot in that arena.
Yeah.
Now
what Conor did in Ireland when Conor did in Ireland when he was a fan of the event. And he jumped into the cage that he was supposed to respect according to hand wraps.
Right.
He jumped in the cage and hit a referee, which an official of the event. Was that worse than what Khabib did last night?
Again, they're all three.
Now,
all three are just despicable.
Will Khabib get punished the same as Conor or worse than Conor?
Well, we talked about this a little bit. Monetarily, probably not worse than Conor. No. As far as sitting out, I don't know. I don't know because Conor was out since April. I mean, Conor, he couldn't have fought in April anyway.
Eric, from the sounds of it, they could revoke his visa and make him leave the country.
Yeah, I think that's.
Why wasn't that done? Why wasn't that done to Conor McGregor when he jumped in a ring and hit a referee in Ireland?
Well, it was in Ireland. That's where he lives.
Yeah, but so why didn't the U.S. say, hey, you know what? Because of that, we don't want you back here.
They can't. I mean, well, I guess they could. I don't know.
They could do that.
Yeah, I guess they could. I don't know.
You know what I mean? So,
were criminal charges filed? That's number one. Were criminal charges filed? And it has to go through the due process at that point. Because
do you think
he could plead out? He could do whatever. I mean, he could get off. I mean, so due process has to play out before anything as far as like a visa or anything like that is taken away.
Two wrongs don't make a right. But what I'm saying is I don't like Dana White's stance on this. I think that he wanted to basically quiet the whole everything Conor McGregor was doing. He wanted to quiet it down. Whereas now he doesn't give a fuck about Khabib. Whatever happens, happens. That's the stance I'm getting. So do you think it was right to use that bus incident as part of the promotion for this fight?
I do not. Was
that a mistake?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it was. I mean, you're using a criminal act as part of your promotion, and that's not good. I mean, there was so much other stuff you could have used other than that, and
showing that
or whatever. But there was too much other stuff to use.
Do you think Khabib saw that over and over again?
Well, he was there. Yeah, 100%. I mean, let me tell you what, he has not stopped thinking about that since April.
So what I'm saying is things could have been done to maybe not fully prevent this, but to cool it down. Whereas the things that were done and were allowed to go on because Dana White is part of the UFC. He can tell Conor McGregor, hey, calm down. Don't do this. Don't do that. He has every right to say, you're crossing the line. Because again, that's bigotry, some of the things he's saying. Like, when you talk about people's family, their children, and you talk about race and you talk about religion, there's things you just don't cross. So right. I think when he was asked, are you going to talk to Conor? He said no. And he goes, do you regret showing that bus incident over and over again for the promotion of this fight? He said no.
Right.
So this is what
I disagree big time. Yeah.
So I think Conor McGregor and Dana White should be held accountable for creating this environment and not doing enough to prevent this from coming to a head.
To prevent what? Khabib from going crazy?
Yeah.
He's a professional.
It doesn't matter. You had to have seen Khabib he basically said before this fight even started, this is more than a fight to me. This is personal.
Sure. A lot of fighters say that, though.
But the thing is,
I don't expect them to dive in the crowd afterwards.
I agree.
Because somebody talked trash to you?
I agree. But this is not just trash talk. This was something that was brewing.
No. Dylan Dennis on the outside when he jumped into the crowd, and it was brewing. I agree with you.
It was brewing.
And I don't know what Dennis said to him. I don't know anything about that.
It was brewing. If I'm Dana White, these are my answers at the press conference. Yes, I regret showing that. Hindsight is 20/20. Now I regret showing that.
Yeah.
Question number 2. Am I going to talk to Conor? Absolutely, I'm going to talk to Conor. Are you going to talk to Khabib? Absolutely. All right, you're going to talk to both camps? Absolutely. I'm going to try and do everything I can in my power to squash this. Because this is not over, Eric, and it needs to be over is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
Going by Dana White's answers last night, I don't feel confident that he's going to take the necessary steps to prevent this happening in the future. Because by getting more security, that doesn't stop the problem. Okay?
Well, to me, the problem is that Khabib lost his mind last night. That's the problem. I mean, and I don't know that we can go round and round about it, but Khabib lost his mind last night and jumped out of his cage and attacked somebody in the crowd.
And he's going to be punished for it. But will Conor be punished for his next outburst accordingly?
I hope so. I mean, again, how much money, we talked about it before the show. How much money do you think he lost?
About $20 million.
From the incident in New York. Think about that for a minute. That's not chump change. I don't care if you got $100 million. $20 million is not chump change.
Yeah, but he fought last night and got it all back, Eric, and then some.
Maybe.
And then
we don't know. We're not privy to it. We're not privy to the pay-per-views. We're not privy to the, we're privy to what they give out. We're not privy to
that fight does 1.5 million pay-per-view buys.
What's that?
And he's getting merchandise and he's getting sponsors and endorsements.
And I do think it's going to go over 1.5. What do you think the pay-per-view does? You think it does 1.5?
I think it does at least 1.5, maybe. I think at the worst it does 1.5. At the best it can do 2. I'm going to say it does 1.8.
Yeah, that's a lot.
So times that by 70, and then times the gate, and then times the sponsorships,
right?
And then times the percentage, and he's got a $3 million guarantee. I mean, do I know with 100% certainty what he's going to get? No. Do I think when it's all said and done, it could be close to 20 million? Possibly.
Right.
So
all right, let me bring hand wraps on here. Hand wraps, you're on. Or maybe not.
What's up, man?
Hey, what's happening, man?
What's going on, brother?
Yo, you hear me? Yo, I was on speaker. My fault. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Hello?
Yes, can you hear us?
Oh yeah, I can hear you. You hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, my fault. My fault. Yo, man, what the hell is wrong with Beeb, man? Yo, Beeb is over here trying to justify a man's actions. Yo,
You're having a hard time comprehending it, bro. You're just having a hard time with it. You're having a hard time with it. You're having a hard time comprehending it.
The fact that you were watching CNN news.
You're deflecting, bro. You're deflecting. You're deflecting. You're deflecting.
Justify a man getting assaulted in the ring, man. This is a sport.
But it was okay when Conor McGregor did it in Ireland. You don't care about it. What did you say when Conor McGregor did it in Ireland? He assaulted a referee. He assaulted a referee in the cage. Did he get suspended for that? Yes or no?
Okay.
Did he get suspended for that?
No, he didn't, and he should have, right?
Yes. 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 So what I'm saying, what I'm going to say for the last time is,
in the ring, right?
What I'm going to say for the last time is,
but in your eyes, that's last time. We're talking about this time.
What I'm going to say is, if you're Dana White and you don't suspend Conor McGregor, then you're basically indirectly condoning it. Not necessarily condoning it, but by allowing it to happen, you're setting a precedent that the guy who is the pay-per-view star and is the most popular guy in the company, we're going to let him do whatever he wants, but we're going to punish the other guys. So what I'm saying is, if he was made an example, he needed to be made an example of, and he wasn't ever going to be made an example of. And the bus incident should not have been used for promotion of the fight, because every time Khabib saw that bus incident, what do you think was going through his mind? I'm going to fucking kill that guy. I'm going to fucking kill that guy. I'm going to well, if you keep poking somebody, eventually they're going to snap. Should he have snapped? No. But again, we've all lost it at points in time in our life.
Beeb, where you're getting this all wrong is, at the end of the day, are we a sport or are we not a sport? Like, are you agreeing to go into the octagon and fight this man fair and square under the rules, or are we not? Like, what? I agree
100%. It should be. I agree 100%. It should be fought fair and square.
Does he bring a bigger entourage next time, and then we can have a real rumble after the bell? Is that what
Why did Conor McGregor bring his entourage to New York though? In a fight that involved, he wasn't even involved in the event.
You're saying that should have been nit in the butt a long time ago, right?
Correct. You should have suspended Conor McGregor for a year. Conor McGregor should have been suspended for at least a year. That's my opinion.
We agree. I agree. Can we agree?
Yes.
It should have been nipped in the butt a long time ago, right?
Yes.
But it wasn't.
No.
The fight was allowed to go through, and Khabib agreed to fight Conor McGregor where? Outside the ring or inside?
Inside the ring.
He agreed to fight.
Inside the ring.
Then that's where the fight should have.
But he didn't hit Conor McGregor. He had a problem with his cornerman. He didn't hit Conor McGregor. He didn't hit Conor McGregor after the fight. He didn't go back and hit Conor McGregor. What are you talking about?
What happened when the Indiana Pacers had a rumble with the fans? How did that look on the sport?
Horrible. But they were punished for it. They were suspended though. Were they suspended for it? And was everyone that was involved in the incident suspended, or were the superstars not suspended and the guys who weren't superstars, they were? See what I'm saying? Dana White needs to make a statement across the board here. And he needs to own this. He needs to own this. He needs to own this.
Yeah, man. But you're not making it any better by saying it's justified that Conor McGregor.
But how can you sit there and put words in a person's mouth? How can you go back? Go back. This is why the internet is a beautiful thing. The internet's a beautiful thing. You know why? The internet's forever. I challenge you to go back in this video, and I want you to find one minute or second in this video that I said I justify what Khabib did.
Right. No, I don't think he knows.
You can't do that.
No.
So with all due respect, you're conflating now. Now you're conflating. You're conflating.
The last 45 minutes, we get your point. Shut up. Listen.
But I can't let you misrepresent what I'm saying. You can't do that.
I'm not trying to justify this. I'm not trying to justify this. What you're trying to do is justify it, my friend.
I'm not justifying it.
Okay?
My problem is
Keep reminding
the
us
guy in charge of the organization
that you're
is not owning this. He's not owning this, and he's minimizing it by dismissing it as trash talk.
due for the last 45 minutes. I got your point.
So then don't misrepresent me. If you heard what I said, then don't misrepresent what I said. I am not going to allow anyone to do that. You could say whatever you want, but I'm not disagreeing with you. You're disagreeing with me. You're giving Conor McGregor a pass, and you're giving Dana White a pass. You're giving Conor McGregor a pass, and you're giving Dana White a pass. You're following the money, brother. You're following the money. You're a corporate guy. You think that people who make money are above the law. You're saying because someone makes money and someone's the face of the organization, they're above the law.
I've heard you talk for the last 45 minutes. Stop painting my image. Let me tell you my image.
You think people with money are above the law.
45 minutes.
You think people who have money are above the law. See, I could play that game too, baby.
Can we calm down here?
I could play that game too, baby.
This is unacceptable for one reason only. This is a combat sport. That's the only reason. It's not acceptable in the ring. We just had what's that guy who got punched in the ring by in the boxing?
Darrell. What is it? The guy, the Darrell kid.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So that dude was just interviewed about a week ago in the Spanish channel, and he was asked, how does he feel about this man being able to still train? He said he is taking this to the courts, and there's absolutely no way this man should ever be allowed in the ring again. And I agree 100%.
I agree too.
But he's back.
I agree too. But he's back. But he's back. Once again, he's back in the ring. And guess what happens? Guess what happens? A precedent is set that now I'm gonna punch a motherfucker in the face because I'll be back in the ring too. Do you see the argument? Do you see the argument? The argument is if that dolly was never thrown at that bus, none of this fucking shit would have happened. And when that dolly was thrown at that bus, that motherfucker that threw that dolly should have been suspended, and he fucking wasn't. End of story.
I'm really sorry. I'm out of time. Beeb wins with the Stephen A tactic. He's just going to zoom over everybody for an hour. He won't let anybody else talk. I'm running out of time. He's absolutely wrong. This is a fucking sport. That shit is fucking garbage. I got to go. Thanks, guys.
All right, hand wraps.
And it's a sport for both fighters, not just for Khabib.
He said with the Stephen A tactic. He said with
we need to set up a precedent that just because you're the face of the organization, you can't do whatever you want.
No,
that's the thing. That's the argument, Eric. That's the argument.
And
that's the argument.
About, like, say Don King, when he promoted Larry Holmes and Jerry Cooney, racism was at the forefront of that because you had the Great White Hope against the black guy. He's going to beat the black champion. He's going to bring the white people up. That was that's what they were banking on, and it was garbage.
He called Jerry Cooney the Great White Hope. Remember that?
Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah, it was nuts, man. So they've got to shoulder some of that too. They've got to shoulder a little bit. Again, we don't. I'm not condoning it. I don't think Beeb is condoning the actions.
I'm not condoning the action.
I think,
but I'm angry. I'm angry because possibly it could have been prevented.
Right.
Can I say with 100% certainty could have been? No. But you need, I'm going to say something, and this is my opinion. Khabib had the weight of the world on his shoulders here because he's looking at Conor McGregor and he's saying, this guy, everyone's on his side because he's the money guy here, right? And he's doing whatever he wants. He's saying whatever he wants, and no one cares. You don't think that plays into the whole picture too? You don't think if he saw Dana White say, you know what, I'm going to suspend this guy for a year. He'll get the Khabib fight, but he's going to have to wait for it. You don't think that time may have enabled Khabib to cool down a little bit? You know what I'm saying? You don't think that could have helped a little bit if he suspended him for a year because of that bus incident and because of that fucking Ireland incident? I mean, that's my, and again, it's my opinion. It's just my opinion. I think if he was suspended and he was punished, it would have sent a message that you can't be a dickhead and be an asshole and do stupid shit and not get away and not get punished for it. That's That's the whole thing, Eric.
All right.
That's
So
the whole
do
thing.
you think Khabib was justified in doing what he did?
Absolutely not.
All right. Jason
Zero.
has just said that he thinks Khabib was justified in attacking the crowd, and they were justified in attacking McGregor. So
Are we gonna say he's a fucking mental case, is what he is.
Hey, Beeb, what's going on? Beeb, what's up?
Jason,
How you doing, brother?
Hey, Eric, let me talk to Beeb real quick. Beeb, I'm with you 100%, bro. I didn't think you said anything wrong. I don't know what the hell that last caller was talking about, but do you remember when that guy threw that 80-pound deadly weapon at a fucking bus full of civilians with women in there? He came running in there with 30 fucking goons. Did he ever get charged with a felony? Because when you throw a deadly weapon at somebody, aren't you
yeah, he was
charged with a felony?
Yeah, I believe he was.
Yeah, but he got
down.
off.
He put it down.
No, he wasn't. Stop fucking lying like a retard, okay? No, he wasn't.
You're a moron, son. You're an absolute moron. You come up here and you talk every week and you just spew out nonsense. You have no facts. You don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but
You just keep talking like an absolute retard. Go ahead with your point. Go ahead. Tell him how Khabib was justified in doing what he did, you idiot.
Yeah, you won't even let him speak like a retard.
Then go ahead and speak. Nobody's stopping you.
I love it. No, I love it.
Go ahead.
I love it when
Tell
Eric.
us how Khabib was justified.
I love it when the gamma rays hit Eric. I love it when the gamma rays hit Eric too, when he turned into the Hulk.
Hey,
Yeah.
Hey, Beeb.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, Beeb. Beeb. Beeb.
Felony or misdemeanor? Or am I confused? Or is Eric a retard?
He was charged with a misdemeanor. It was a felony count, stupid. They pled it down. You're a retard. You are a moron. Hey, listen, he doesn't write the laws in New York, you moron. He doesn't write the laws in New York. What have they charged him with? They charged him with.
The point that I made, Jason, the point that I made, if it was you or I, we would have a felony on our record right now, and we quite possibly
could have had a felony record. Yeah, 100% he should have had a felony record.
That once again, that speaks.
Nobody's making excuses, you airhead. What are we making excuses about? You're the one making excuses saying that Khabib was justified.
Let me respond then. Let me respond.
Then go ahead and respond instead of saying the same thing over and over again.
If Mayweather went over to New York and threw a fucking dolly, he's getting charged with a felony right away. He's not going to get charged with a
How do
felony.
you know? How do you know?
Because
you don't know anything. How do you know? If Conor wasn't charged with it, how are they going to charge McGregor then, you idiot? The law is the law. You're a moron, son. You're so out of your element right now. Dude, go empty the garbage cans at your job, okay? All right, just go take the garbage out about now, all right? Your shift's almost over.
While we're arguing, can you Google did Conor get charged with a felony or a misdemeanor? Since this retard keeps talking about.
He originally was charged with a felony, but he ended up getting probation. He ended up getting probation.
What was he charged with, Beeb? A felony?
He was charged with a felony. There was two felony. But once again, this is the point, Jason. This is how you need to explain this. He was charged with a felony, but because he's Conor McGregor and he has these highfalutin lawyers, he got probation and a misdemeanor. Where you and I and everyone else, you and I and everyone else, and possibly even Khabib, possibly even Khabib would have gotten treated worse. I don't know that for a fact, but it's possible.
Let me respond, B. But what Khabib did last night, he jumped out of the cage and he barely fucking touched that fucking bum Dylan.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
You're fucking talking. Why won't you let the people finish their fucking sentences, you moron? Why can't I talk? Jesus Christ.
Because you're not making any sense, son. That's why.
He barely touched that bum Dale. What's his name?
He's a bum. Yeah, right. He's a bum.
Compare that to compare that to an 80-pound fucking steel dolly coming through a bus window. Compare that. Which is worse?
I think what Conor did.
They're both crimes.
But the thing is this: I think they were both. I think they were both worse. But that's like asking me: would you rather get shot 10 times in the chest or stabbed once in the friggin' stomach? They're both bad, but you can't justify one or the other.
No.
Khabib's the crime was like disorderly conduct. Conor committed a fucking felony that could have killed somebody.
And Khabib could have started a riot.
That could have killed somebody.
And Khabib could have started a riot.
What riot?
He could have started a riot. You didn't see all the commotion at ringside?
There was no riot.
Because you couldn't afford the pay-per-view. That's why.
Eric and I are gonna. Eric, Eric and I, wait a minute, Jason. Eric and I will disagree on one thing. What both incidences were bad, but I honestly think what Conor did was way worse because he injured people. Khabib didn't injure anybody. Could he have injured people? Could he have started a riot? Yes. But Conor actually injured people. There was shards of glass.
In that context, you're right.
There was shards of glass in someone's eye because of Conor McGregor.
Right.
People had facial lacerations because of what Conor McGregor did.
Right.
People were removed from the card.
Listen up, Eric, you moron.
Because of what Conor McGregor did. And
and
then Dana White is taking that footage and using it to promote the fight. He's a fucking idiot. I'm sorry. I will never absolve Dana White from this. I am not giving Dana White a pass here. He's a fucking idiot for doing that.
Beeb, let me finish.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm losing it. I need help here. Someone call 911. I need to get fucking. I'm out of control. I feel like ripping the Celtics shirt off. I can't because it's Boston.
Can we get back to boxing, please?
No, I like this. This is too fun.
It's a good topic, Robert.
Hey, Beeb, let me respond, Beeb.
Go ahead.
Can you imagine if that dolly was like 5 inches to the left and didn't get blocked by the window like frame, and that fucking thing hit Chiesa and the head straight on? That could have cracked his fucking skull open. Nothing Khabib did or his homeboys did to Conor could have killed him or anything. They just, if you can throw a fucking dolly, you can fucking take a few fucking sucker punches. You deserve fucking few sucker punches. Don't be acting like a fucking pussy, and then you deserve a few sucker punches if you're gonna throw fucking dollies at buses. I don't give a shit. I wish they would have punched him 5 times more, and I'd fucking cheer for Khabib even more. I don't give a shit. I love that guy that got in the red shirt that jumped in and slapped fucking Conor up. I love that fucking guy. He deserved every bit of that shit. Now this is the first time he's been humble on national TV. He deserved that shit for so long. He's been fucking acting like this to everybody, and these are the first people that stood up to him. These Russians live in the fucking mountains. These are not regular people. You can't fuck with their family.
Jason.
And offer them fucking
Jason.
Whiskey. He was offering him whiskey on national TV.
Jason.
To drink whiskey, and that guy's a religious dude. That's so disrespectful.
Jason.
Dana stood there and let Conor put a whiskey in front of his face like a fucking idiot. Dana just stood there taking shots with Conor. That's why all this happened, because Conor thinks he can trample all over UFC rules. And Beeb is 100% right.
But Jason, let me talk as an elder statesman here. So when you have a gang member who lost a friend or whatever, and then he goes and says, I'm going to kill another gang member. And then he goes and kills that gang member. And then the other gang member kills another gang member on his side. And it keeps going back and forth. At one point, someone's got to step in and say, stop. We can't kill each other anymore. Okay? So this is where 2 wrongs don't make a right. So if we take the emotion away from the situation, right? We have to take the emotion away from the situation. And we have to look at what's wrong and what's right. And we can't condone this, because now anytime someone does something wrong like this, we're gonna have a brawl at the end of every fight. At some point, we got to stop, and we got to look, and we got to say, you know what? This is what I think Dana White should be doing right now, which I think he's doing a horrible job of, because he's dismissing this whole thing as trash talk, and this was much more than trash talk. So at some point, someone's got to step in and talk to the 2 gangs, talk to both sides of the gangs, and say, hey, you know what? You guys can keep this up as long as you want, but all you're doing is hurting yourselves. Stop killing each other. So
he didn't like what he did yesterday, and he apologized. He said, this is not who I am. I don't like this MMA talking shit. About people's religions, family. He said MMA is not supposed to be like that. So he admitted it.
He did.
Said, I'm sorry, Vegas. I'm sorry, Nevada. All that. He did that.
Yeah, he did. But the way he apologized, but let me talk to you. The way he apologized did not do him any favors at that press conference.
But Eric, honestly,
any favors at all.
Honestly,
what he did was said, yeah, but
I wish he would have.
I know it was a beautiful apology because you're an idiot. But listen, he said, I didn't want to do this and blah, 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 and this isn't me and everything, but how come he didn't get punished for the bus? How come he didn't? So essentially what he did was take on like a child mentality and say, you know what I did was bad, but he did something worse. How come nobody's on him or anything like that? You're just being a child at that point.
Khabib never sucker punched Conor. He barely touched Dylan Dennis, and the cops grabbed him up and they took him out. That's it. That was his only fault. He jumped out of the cage. So fucking what?
What do you mean, so what? Like that's not a big deal. That's not a big deal that he jumped out of the cage and went after a member of the audience. That wasn't a big deal.
He didn't go after a member of the audience.
Yes, he did, moron. Yes, he did, because Dylan Danis was not in his corner, stupid.
He didn't go after the audience, okay?
Dylan Danis was a member of the audience. He was not in Conor's corner, you idiot. Thank you. Then that makes him a member of the audience, right?
That's correct.
That makes him a member of the audience.
That's correct. He wasn't working.
No, he was not. He was Octagon and side corner member.
No, he wasn't. He was not in his corner.
No, Jason,
You're wrong. This is what happens.
He's a wrestling coach.
All right.
He's a wrestling coach. He's a wrestling coach. He's not an immediate second.
He was he was. Shut up. You don't know. You're a moron. You couldn't even afford the pay-per-view anyway, so what do you care? You watched it. You watched this on YouTube. You watched it on you. Shut up. Shut up, son.
Hey, Beeb. Eric is the guy that defends Mike Tyson for biting people's ears off, and now he wants to.
Did not defend Mike Tyson for biting people's ears off.
This is the kind of moron Eric is. He says Tyson's a hero. He bites people's ears.
I never said Tyson was a hero. Now you're putting words in my mouth because you don't know what else to do because your argument sucks.
Yeah. And Beeb, you're kind of lowballing the pay-per-view figures. That shit's gonna sell like 3 million pay-per-view. A lot of people bought that don't usually buy those pay-per-views. That's going to 3 million.
Hey,
3 million easy.
Good for them if it sells 3 million. I don't know.
Beeb, do you think if this sells 3 million, they're going to get a rematch?
Did you see that guarantee?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
That's some weak ass shit. 3 million for Conor, 2 for fucking Khabib.
Yeah, but that's not.
Yeah, but the back end is going to be
guaranteed money. That's not.
Look what Canelo and Triple G got. They got like 5 and 3 for guarantees, and look what they ended up going home with.
You're such a superstar. You should be getting 30 million guaranteed.
You have no idea what he's getting.
Why isn't he getting
You have no idea. You have no idea what he's getting paid.
You moron! I'm talking about guaranteed purse.
Who cares about guaranteed purse? It's what you get paid on the back end off the pay-per-view and stuff. You're an idiot, son. Do you even know how business works? You don't, son. You don't. Son, you need to do some research, go to the library, get an education, son. This will help you out, man. Trust me. I'm trying to help you out here. Jason, I'm trying to help you out, man. You don't even realize how much I'm trying to help you out.
2 times bigger than Conor. Wow.
Retard.
Supposed to be the biggest star.
All right, Jason, we got to move on.
Don't cry, Eric.
I love Jason. What a maniac.
All I wanted Hand Wraps to say was Dana White should have done something about this. I wanted I wanted Hand Wraps to say he shouldn't have shown the bus incident. I wanted him to say that Dana White should have punished Conor more. I wanted Jason to say that Dana White could have helped prevent this, could have done a better job with it, and he could have answered those post-fight press conferences a little bit better, and he could have owned this a little bit. Now, obviously, he didn't. You can't blame him for what happened, but he had to have seen that this was going to go wrong somehow, some way. He had to seen it. That's why he knew it was going to go wrong somehow, some way. You know why? Why did he bring
a bunch of security there? Well, they had a bunch of security there for the crowds.
Yeah, he added more security. So, and that's what I thought too, Eric. Like, as I said, I thought this was the crowds were gonna, the crowd was gonna end up leaving, and out in the streets they were gonna end up fighting. That's what I thought. I'll tell you what. Luckily, I don't think any of that really happened. I don't think that anything really spilled into the crowd or out of the arena and stuff like that, which is great. Hopefully, everybody just kind of went their separate ways and enjoyed the night. But gosh, I mean, horrible stuff. Yeah.
From this day, you'll be my new fool.
Georgie.
Hey, what's happening, people?
What's up?
What's going on there?
This goddamn mafia don't cut me off. We robbed. He went to sleep. Too much violence for him.
He had some of that proper 12 whiskey. And now,
What's up, George McGregor?
This whole thing turned out to be a royal disaster. We got other stuff to cover. You spend a lot of time on this garbage.
Oh,
come on, Robbie. You don't like UFC?
You know it sells, Robbie. You know how it is.
Well, I didn't buy
any
of this
guy always
crap.
finish last. But listen, baby. This is what we have. First of all, like the panel said before, the Delorme Vargas fight is nothing really appealing. This McGregor shit is stole the thunder from the whole event. I really don't give a fuck what happened there. I saw Delorme winning though by like a point or so, but hey, who cares? Move along. Yo, Beeb! Gotta talk, baby. We gotta go 3 minutes round here.
I don't think I got anything left for you, man.
He's wore out.
I think I'm done.
He's wore out,
I
son.
don't got anything left. I need the EMS right now. After the show, I'm getting oxygen.
You know what? To be quite honest, you right, and hand wraps is right too.
I agree with hand wraps. I don't think that this is good or right. I'm just mad at Dana White, and I'm mad at Dana White for not punishing Conor McGregor more when he was doing the crazy shit. He needed to send a message.
Every time. You know why? Every time little bullshit like this happen, I get all down, and I'm like, you know what? I just don't even feel part of the human race. This is one of these fucking occasions, buddy. Because you can see, like, there is a divide between people who got money and people who don't have money, and the way they get treated in the justice system. That is just ridiculous.
That's my point.
Yeah.
That's my point.
Besides McGregor would have done that same, my dude. Dude.
What if you would have done that, Georgie? Threw a dolly through a bus.
Imagine that.
Injured some people.
Imagine that. I mean,
still be looking between bars, man.
But you said, listen, I run my mouth a lot too, especially on this internet shit, and you got to stand for what you say. You know what I'm saying? They like if you say something. Don't think somebody not going to pop up later on. It could be tomorrow. It could be 20 years from now. You never know how people take shit to the heart. You know, so you got to be mindful of that. Even if you want to promote the fight, because this is the thing. McGregor, before he's a fighter, now he's a businessman. And all these bad boy shit sells. And who knows if this is even a big fucking WWE shit, got everybody riled up, indignated, this and that. And first thing you know what happened? Rematch. Because how the fuck McGregor make it here to this point after he did what he did? So
Does anyone
flip up and then he's going to get penalized and there's not going to be a rematch? Nah, brother. All this shit's orchestrated by the highest fucking powers out there. Dana White's an evil genius, man.
Is there any way Conor McGregor can beat this guy though? Seriously,
no.
I just can't see it. I can't see it happening.
I can't see it. You know, and with Nate Diaz, it was different, but this guy,
It don't
yeah.
matter if we can beat him or not. That's like they made with the shit. It didn't matter he couldn't beat him or not. Is that hype? Is that emotion that he creates between people and the fans?
I'd love to see Tony Ferguson fight this guy.
Khabib?
Yeah.
Conor.
Khabib.
Oh man, that they've had that fight scheduled four times, and each of the times it fell through. In April, the reason Khabib fought Al Iaquinta for the title, for the interim title or whatever, is Tony Ferguson actually blew out his knee. I think it was his knee. He blew it out at ESPN. He tripped over a microphone cord.
Oh my god!
Blew out his knee days before the fight.
Oh
How about that? Nutty.
Tony Ferguson's a big guy, man.
Oh, he's awesome, man.
I like Tony Ferguson. Pettis isn't bad either. He put up a good fight.
Broke his hand though.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
I like Pettis.
Yo, he got his ass whipped. He was getting hit with everything.
Yeah.
It was a matter of time. He would have killed him next round. Oh, talking about kill him. Yo,
90
McGregor
seconds.
is lucky that shit was inside an octagon. In a street fight, this man would have been killed.
Oh, for sure.
For sure. I wouldn't even say like hospitalized, none of that bullshit, straight up just, body to do. Because, I mean, there was such a bad blood. You see what happened. You know what I'm saying? Because you could tell, because when the fight was over, he was thinking about because he wasn't really trying to let him go. That's what I noticed. I don't know if I'm seeing shit, but he sort of thought about it, keeping a hold on him. But then he let him go and start going after the corner and whatnot. But anyway, the shit event was fucking good. I didn't mind, you know, if you gotta pay for it, you gotta pay for it, but you got good entertainment. That's all it is.
Yep.
That's why, as far as people gotta take it, entertainment. You start going silly and fighting over this bullshit. None of these people give a fuck about you. So just take it for what it is. Good entertainment. Talking about entertainment, hit that time up, people. Everybody do this shit for free. I gotta go, Robbie. I know you're watching, you brown sugar ass. Everybody talk about the UFC shit. What you like to watch, huh?
No, thank you.
He's watching the Sunday night game while this goes on.
10 seconds.
All right, people. See you guys next week.
All right,
Georgie. All right. Let's talk to somebody who's going to bring us down to reality here. Area code 760. You're live.
Brian, now don't tell me you called to talk about this crap.
Oh, please, Robbie.
Robert.
Please, Robbie.
Come on.
No MMA stuff.
Come on,
I
Rob.
don't know nothing about no MMA. I'm not going to talk about that.
Hey, wasn't that card pretty good last night?
Real subject on the table.
That DAZN card was surprisingly good last night.
It was wrong. I'm not even here to talk about that. I had to check and make sure I called the right number. I'm like, the MMA channel.
This was Chael Sonnen and Ariel Helwani on this show tonight.
We got sidetracked.
The MMA channel. I didn't know if it was MMA. I didn't know if it was gang banging. I didn't know.
We're gonna have to rename the show to friggin' Khabib.
Yeah.
McGregor recap.
UFC tonight. You know.
Beeb West Coast gang banging industries 101. You said we got to get the big homie. We got to get the other big homie. And they need to have a
anyway, what's on your mind, Brian?
He's telling us what's on his mind.
Big baby just fought and everything like that. You guys was on his helmet. Oh my
Now,
goodness.
Brian, you're a heavyweight guy. What do you think about him walking in at 317?
I thought he was shredded last night.
I was kind of
shredded
confused,
wheat.
like when
Shredded
they did
bubble
the
gum.
weigh-in, I said, is this a sumo wrestling match or what?
Oh, come on. He's got a great physique.
Some pounds. Dang. But I looked at it differently, too, because I said, well, maybe he needs to be big to absorb punches. You know what I'm saying? Like,
but he had a 90-pound advantage over his opponent.
Oh, Robbie, please.
Jeez.
Maybe he looks for that advantage. You know what I'm saying? Like, you seen X-Men, the Blob. You ever seen the Blob?
Butterbean looks small.
Yeah.
Robbie, the guy's big bone. Give him a break.
Nah, but I'll be honest.
He's big bone.
If you can spend the whole hour talking about MMA, I can talk shit about Big Baby all I want.
Robbie, that's a good comeback. I concede.
Hey,
I concede the floor, Robbie.
Honest with you, though. Hey, I still, I disagree with you guys, though. I think Big Baby will give anybody a fight. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying he'll.
I think so, too.
Yeah.
But I think he'll give anybody a fight because he's a presence. That's what he uses is his presence, that 300-pound presence, and that's how he tries to get it done. And to be honest with you, Anthony Joshua, to me, it's just like Tyson Fury. He's a good counter puncher, boxer, whatever you want to call it. Wilder looks for a good counter. Joshua's not really a good counter puncher like that. I think it would be a good fight. I think Joshua would beat him, but I think he'll put up a good fight. I think Miller needs to just learn. You know what I'm saying? He needs to fight one of them dudes up there. Maybe it'll give him better discipline, whenever he's coming in and fighting, just like what you guys said with Chris Arreola. You know what I'm saying? But that's ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous. Beeb, you going for that or what? 300 pounds, man. Holla at your boy.
I know, man. But it's crazy. He can still get it done, man. He can still move. Still got quick hands.
He can move on his pace, though.
He got good.
Oh yeah, he does.
His feet, man.
Wow.
But Eric, you gotta think of one thing. These guys are heavyweights. Like who
He's
in
a
the
former kickboxer. I mean, let's not forget that. I mean, he's a former kickboxer. He knows how to use his feet.
Yeah, but
my
who
thing is, once that pace picks up and he's forced to go at somebody else's pace, and they bring a brisk pace to it.
But think about it,
they
though.
have a problem.
But watch Anthony Joshua and watch Deontay Wilder fight. They somewhat fight in spurts too. Like Deontay Wilder's really not a combination puncher. You know what I mean?
No, he's not.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like there's no Paul Williamses in this division right now.
You know, if somebody goes forward at Big Baby and they're gonna go head up with him, then how you gonna go head up with 300 some pounds? You know what I'm saying?
I mean, this guy's jacked. That's all I can say.
I mean, that's gonna be a big task right there. If you
Brian,
just gonna put pressure on him.
there's one solution to that. It's called going to the body constantly.
This guy's got a 6-pack of iron. You can't hurt him.
Going after that dude. You know, but
are you kidding? That's
you're
a large target. You go to the body, it'll eventually die.
Well, you got to risk that power too. You know, you got to risk if you're going to go to the body, you got to risk coming inside.
You got to deal with this hand speed of this guy too.
Big, huge hippo or something coming at you.
Wow, that's crazy.
Lineman or a defensive tackle, brother. That's
he's coming at you. I mean, to be honest with you, that I am kind of a fan of how he does that. You know what I'm saying? Because he keeps that pressure. He's the pressure fighter. That's why if you're gonna go forward at him being a pressure fighter, you ain't gonna get it done. You know what I'm saying? But if you a good counter puncher, just like with Anthony Joshua, his jab, it made me a little suspect last fight, but Anthony Joshua has the height and he has the reach and to drop that right hand on him. You know what I'm saying? And same thing with Wilder in a counter type fashion, but I don't think any of these guys can just go forward on Big Baby, not being 300 pounds like that, you know, but I don't see him beating the top level dudes, but who you guys think would be a good matchup for him? You know,
well,
Ortiz,
I said it earlier, Andy Ruiz.
Andy Ruiz is a good one.
A sumo wrestling match?
Hey, Brian, look at it.
Oh, come on.
Brian, look at it. They both have weight issues. And,
I don't even think that would even fit on the TV, okay?
He said he's got a wide screen, too.
You wouldn't even see those guys.
You'd have to put it on your wall or something, you know?
Wow.
You got to put it on a projector and put it in the air or something like that.
It'll fit at the movie theater. You can do that.
Hey, but
guys are terrible.
I think him and Dillian White,
I think that's a good fight.
See who Dillian White is going to fight next, man. I'm hearing, you guys heard anything about him and Ortiz? They've been going back and forth. You heard that?
Eddie Hearn said he wants to put that fight together in December.
I like that fight.
Yeah, Eddie Hearn wants to put that fight together in December. I hope it happens. Yeah, I think it's a good fight.
That'll be a good fight. Miller against Brazil. I mean, why they don't mix and match all these? I mean, who is Miller even fighting this dude? Like, what does this do for him?
He's fought fringe heavyweights.
Yeah, no upper echelon guys.
It's like, I mean, he did good yesterday, but I'm just watching this fight and I'm like, what does it really do for him to win this fight? You know what I'm saying? He won, he knocked him, he got the stoppage, but I mean, where did it lead him? You guys can explain this to me. You know better
Brian,
than me. Where did this lead him?
It didn't improve his status any. He did something he was supposed to do against somebody he was supposed to do it against. Frankly, you wanna impress me up the level of his competition.
Funny thing is, the only reason why they fought Adamek is because they were in Chicago.
Chisora, somebody, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, this dude, he was 41 years old. Like, he didn't even stand a chance. You know what I'm saying?
No.
But I didn't understand it, you know.
A 90-pound weight advantage, really.
That was crazy.
I think, you know, I still think
you can't get off of that
division. It's enough people, especially if Usyk is going to get up in the mix. You know, you got enough people in there right now to make some, at least maybe about I would say a good maybe 3-4 years worth of fights with these guys. There's a few guys in that heavyweight division right now, you know.
Well, before Usyk moves up, I hope he fights Bellew first.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely.
He's gonna fight Bellew next, Robbie.
Yeah, he's gonna fight him next.
After he win that fight, then he'll go ahead and move up. But you know, he need to get noticed. You know, maybe he can get some recognition. You know, because the homies can't even. When I be saying this, why it's hard with some of these boxers. You can't even say their names. You know, and they can't.
I hear you.
That's funny.
You know, but he's pretty good. You know, he'll be in the mix. And then the other guy that man, I can't even say his name. The Agbak. I'm killing his name. What's the guy name? He just fought not too long ago. I think it was. I don't know, man. What's that guy name? He made the dude run out the ring.
Oh,
I know who. Yeah, his name is hard to say.
I don't know. I don't know his name, but I know who you're talking about.
Oh yeah. That guy's crazy, man.
Harper didn't even want to fight him. He ran out of the ring.
Hey, he's serious business right there.
He's like, he's serious business.
It's gonna be something else. And then you got Daniel Dubois. You guys talk about his win.
Yeah, we went over that. Yeah, he won unanimous.
Yeah.
That guy's good, man. He's no joke.
Pretty one-sided fight. You know, that dude, Daniel Dubois, he's strong. He's only, what, 21?
Something like that.
What is he, 21?
Something like
young. He's young. But you guys been watching these press conferences. This will be the last thing I was just saying. If you guys been watching these press conferences with Fury and Wilder.
We did. We're going to get to those. Yeah, we're going to get to those in just a few minutes, man. But yeah, it's been nuts.
Did?
Yeah, we're going to get to those in just a minute here, but those have been crazy. Yeah, I can't wait to talk about those.
Hey, it was pretty entertaining, huh?
Very entertaining.
Oh, yeah. Those are fun.
Hey, I hope the fight is as entertaining as their press conferences.
Yeah, me too.
They both can talk.
Yeah, I hope this don't be no disappointment. You know what I'm saying? Because I got people that's not into boxing. That's why I say this is good for boxing, when you got people that's not into boxing and then they're telling you, have you seen such and such, because they seen it, you know, like, cool, that's cool, everybody's watching, cool. But
all right.
Yeah, it was crazy. But hey, thanks for having me. I know Rob ready to kick me off.
No. See you later.
Rob's like the he's like the hostess of the show, man. He invites you in and he tells you to leave.
Rob be like, deuces.
All right,
guys.
All right, Brian. Thank you, sir.
All right.
Brian always brings us back to reality, doesn't he?
Brian's like a breath of fresh air, man. He's a very happy person.
Yeah, he is.
Positive. He never comes on cussing or yelling at anything.
Right.
Never attacks anybody.
Not like me and Beeb. We do that all the time.
No, we
talk about his favorite division, the heavyweight.
Me and Beeb are ruthless.
I know.
All right, let's talk about the upcoming fights. October 12th. Robert, Friday?
October 12th. My God. Let's see. That would be a Friday.
All right. From Los Angeles on Robbie's favorite station, Estrella TV. Ferdinand Karabayan versus Rolando Mendivil, 8 rounds junior middleweights, and Azat Hovhannissian versus Jesus Martinez, 8 rounds junior featherweights. On October 13th, from Omaha, Nebraska, can only be one guy, Terence Crawford versus Jose Benavidez Jr., 12 rounds for Crawford's WBO welterweight title. Shakur Stevenson versus Vioral Simeon, 10 rounds featherweights, 10-rounder for ligament. Carlos Adames versus Josh Conley, 10 rounds junior middleweights. Your boy, Robert, is on the card. Mile High, Mike Alvarado versus Robbie Cannon, 10 rounds junior welterweights. Michaela Mailer also on the undercard versus Vanessa Bradford. So there you go. And that'll be on ESPN.
Yeah, and that's a very soft title defense for one Terence Bud Crawford.
Yeah, I think so as well. But Beeb, you don't see any trouble with that title defense, do you?
Oh, no, not at all.
Yeah, I think that's a whitewash.
Yeah.
Also, on Saturday, go ahead.
All right. No, go ahead, Eric. I'll say my comments when you're done.
Okay. Also on Saturday, from Russia on DAZN, Zolane Tete versus Mikhail Aliyan, 12 rounds for Tete's WBO bantamweight title. This is the World Boxing Super Series quarterfinals. Ruslan Pfeiffer versus Andrew Tabiti, 12 rounds cruiserweights. This is also the World Boxing Series quarterfinals for the cruiserweights. Now, they did this. Now, the cruiserweights, they have a division this time, and it's not, I mean, obviously it's lost its luster because we've already got a cruiserweight champion, but it's a really good bracket. They got a lot of good guys in there, man. So if you see it, go check it out. On the same night, on DAZN from Newcastle, England, Lewis Ritson versus Francisco Patera, 12 rounds for the vacant European lightweight title. Glenn Foote versus Robbie Davies Jr., 12 rounds for the vacant British and Commonwealth junior welterweight title. Joshua Buatsi also on that undercard versus the dreaded TBA. Anthony Fowler on the undercard against, of course, the TBA. And I think that is it. On Facebook Watch, on Saturday, Angel Acosta versus Abraham Rodriguez, 12 rounds for Acosta's WBO junior flyweight title. And that is it for the weekend. Let's touch on the Terence Crawford fight real quick. Jose Benavidez Jr., I can't see this fight going 6 rounds. Can you?
No. What I was going to say while you were reading all that, Eric, it's time for Bob Arum to walk across the street and start talking to Al Heyman.
It's funny you mentioned that.
I mean, he's going to destroy Benavidez here, and then who's next?
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because I just read an article today that talked about Terence Crawford wanting to fight somebody from the PBC next. He wants to fight somebody, a bigger name from the PBC. He wants to kind of cross promote here a little bit. They want, Top Rank to cross promote a little bit here because you're right. They're running out of people, and as far as top names go, they're all across the street. So, if you're Terence Crawford, that's one you got to look for. So let's talk about Zolani Tate. What do you think about the, anybody have any thoughts on the World Boxing Super Series quarterfinal, the bantamweight, Tate versus Alayan?
I think Tate wins.
I love Tate. I don't know the other fighter too much, but I love Zolani Tate.
Man, and he's it's just stacked from top to bottom. The whole thing is stacked.
He's the dark horse here.
Yeah.
He can make some noise in this.
He absolutely can. I mean, it's just stacked.
I love Tate.
Yeah. All right, let's go to the news and rumors. Let's go to Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder's press conference. What a wild scene this is. They had a set of press conferences this week. I think they had 3, if I'm not mistaken, 2 or 3.
Yeah, one on Monday, one on Tuesday, and one on Wednesday.
Yeah, so Tyson Fury seemed to get under Wilder's skin at times. The two became physical, pushing each other at most of the press conferences. I like the press conferences because I like that Wilder is finally getting a chance to talk on the big stage.
Yeah.
He's got a ton of personality and can really become a big mainstream star if he gets past Wilder, or if he gets past Fury, excuse me.
Better talker, Eric, Wilder or Fury?
I tell you what, I don't know.
I like Fury. I think Fury's a better talker.
Yeah, I would give Fury the edge, but Wilder's no slouch, man. Wilder has got a great personality.
He's getting good.
He's got that personality that draws you to him. I mean, he's a great presence. He's a great he just has a very good personality, and that's the kind of personality you can make money with. You know what I mean? If I'm an investor, if I'm an advertiser, you're taking a hard look at this guy. So, but if you missed them, go catch them on YouTube. It's a lot of fun, a lot of good stuff. All right. What was set to be our train wreck of the week as of yesterday, which was upset, of course, by McGregor, Khabib. Canelo Alvarez is moving up in weight and is set to fight, wait for it, Rocky Fielding on December 15th at Madison Square Garden. Who is Rocky Fielding? Well, he is the WBA 168-pound champion. But wait.
Regular WBA.
Yes, because why? Who is the champion? Callum Smith won the championship. What was it, just last week?
Yes.
The WBA is a fucking idiot.
Oh, Robert. He's 100% right, though. He is the regular 168-pound champion. Is this a good move for Canelo, guys?
Can I say something?
No.
I think it's not a good move. It's not a bad move, but if you look at any fighter's history, like these, big name fighters, when they're in a tough couple fights, tough fights in a row, they usually take an easy one. And I like this fight better than the David Lemieux fight, to be honest with you.
Really?
Yeah, because I think it adds a little bit of intrigue because he's moving up in weight. He's fighting a bigger guy. Should win. Should be a pretty action-packed fight because he's going to be in there with a guy that's not really hard to find and he's not hard to hit. But, David Lemieux didn't really look great against Billy Joe Saunders. He's been to the big dance before. He's come up short on a few occasions. We know the outcome of both fights, but this has a little bit of intrigue in it because it's a bigger guy. Guy's like 6'2".
Yeah.
He's got an exciting style himself, and he's the bigger guy. It'd be interesting to see if Canelo can get Rocky Fielding out of there. So.
But me and Eric were talking about this yesterday, Beeb. Where do you put this? Because obviously Canelo, this is not a pay-per-view fight. HBO is getting out of the boxing business.
I understand that, Robbie, but when is HBO's last actual fight? Do we know that?
The Daniel Jacobs fight on the 27th of October.
That's confirmed that it's the last fight.
That's the last fight.
Okay.
But I don't know that it's confirmed because De La Hoya has just said that one of the people that he's going to be talking to, he will be talking to HBO to try to get that fight on there. Because obviously it's not a pay-per-view fight. That's a fight you're going to watch on TV or whatever. And De La Hoya doesn't really have anybody. I mean, but he's got a big cash cow in Canelo. So I imagine he can go anywhere he wants.
He's got David Lemieux. I mean, that's the fight I thought they were going to make here because it's easy to make.
Yeah, but I mean, how big of a cash cow is David Lemieux except in Canada?
Would you guys have liked to have seen David Lemieux fight him instead of
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the David Lemieux fight better than I like this one. I don't like the David Lemieux fight much, to be honest with you.
Oh, okay.
But I like
I don't either because I know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I like it better than I like the Rocky Fielding fight.
Really? Okay.
And it's what sucks about about this whole thing is that they're going to shortchange Canelo because he's not really winning the WBA championship because Callum Smith holds that. It's a regular title. Whatever they have about 50 different belts.
Why did the WBA?
Because they're stupid.
Why did they ever do that?
I don't understand this move at all because
that's the worst move the WBA could have done was create that regular title. Oh, is that so bad?
Yeah, I agree.
That is so aggravating.
Okay, if you're De La Hoya and you're obviously the promoter for Canelo, why would you even consider contacting Eddie Hearn to fight Rocky Fielding when Rocky Fielding is not the real champion? I could understand it if he was going to fight the real champion. Okay, then if he is fighting the real champion, then he could say, okay, I've won titles in my third weight class. I don't get this move. This is not a real title. What does this prove for Canelo Alvarez? Say he goes in, knocks the guy out in 5 or 6 rounds, wins this regular belt. You can't call yourself a legitimate 168-pound champion because you didn't beat the legitimate champion. So what does this prove for Canelo?
Well, can we agree on one thing? After he beats Rocky Fielding, the next fight he fights, when they announce him, and the 3-weight world champion, that's gonna be part of his intro. So
it will be, but will it be legitimately? Because this is not a
what really is legitimate anymore, Robbie? We have silver titles, we got bronze titles, we got friggin' money belts. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I understand I understand your point 110%, but
yeah.
Let's just look at the landscape of the sport right now. They got belts for everything.
Yeah, and like I said, I think the biggest problem is again it shortchanges Canelo fighting this guy because again it's a regular belt, whatever that means.
I mean, pretty soon when you go to these events, they'll be the hot dog vendors will be having belts, Be the friggin' hot dog vendor champion.
The Joey Chestnut belt, there you go.
Yeah, well, and I'm sure Mexican fans are going to be really thrilled with this because they probably heard about this and they probably got to look this dude up like.
I'm going to be honest. I like I like this fight better than the David Lemieux fight. I do.
I mean, yeah, I guess if we got to watch him again, and that's it. I don't know. I'm not.
Could he beat Callum Smith? That's a big ask, isn't it?
Man, I don't know.
That's a huge ask.
Oh, I mean,
that's
Smith looks so good.
He took care of his brother, so.
That's a huge ask.
Looks so good, man.
Imagine the
God, that's a good fight, though.
Imagine the storyline. Gonna get revenge from my brother.
Yeah, it's a good fight.
Wow, man. They should make that fight. Let me call up Eddie.
I love that fight, man. That's a good fight. Good fight.
Yeah. Now, see, if I would have read that Canelo Alvarez is going to challenge for Callum Smith's title, I wouldn't have considered it train wreck of the week. I would have considered that a good fight. But Rocky Fielding, he's a train wreck. This is going to be over early.
Oh, this is more or less a fender bender. I wouldn't call this a train wreck.
All right. Let's talk about this. There's a lot of rumors going around I'm hearing out there. Did Manny sign with the PBC? Nothing actually has been nothing has actually been like official. You know what I mean? But I've been hearing a lot of rumors out there, reading a lot of posts, reading a lot of articles. Jason actually sent me a
I told you about this possibility a few weeks ago, didn't I?
I don't know. I don't know. We listened to half of what you said.
Yeah. Okay.
I want to hear the recording, Robbie. I don't hear that.
That's right. I don't hear any recording. I don't think that's
internet's forever.
But there's a strong rumor that he will sign with the PBC if he has not already done so. There's nothing concrete, but that he's already signed. But it's a strong rumor. And Jason had sent me some. I think it's Spin from the Philippines, that newspaper over there. The title kind of says it all. But they said he has signed with him or whatever. But again, man, it's a very loose rumor because, nobody has said anything. And I thought Manny Pacquiao, if he had signed, he would have came out on his Instagram or Twitter or social media. I think we would have heard. But I do think he's negotiating with them. So I think there's a lot of rumors that way. So
I wouldn't be surprised.
I wouldn't be surprised either. No.
Just like with the Mayweather rumor last week, I like this rumor. I hope it happens because, then Manny Pacquiao can fight people such as Sean Porter, Danny Garcia, Earl Spence, Keith Thurman, and we could find out how done Manny Pacquiao is because in the last few fights, I thought he was done a few fights ago, but yet nobody has been able to prove that in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
That was a scintillating knockout of Lucas Matisse.
If he does sign, then he's got to actually fight some people who could actually find out if Manny's got anything left. And
right.
I have some questions about that.
I do too.
I think he beats Adrian Broner.
Who?
Manny Pacquiao.
Get out of here, son. Are you crazy?
I think he beats him.
Well, you know what?
Broner.
You know what, Beeb? Beeb? If Adrian Broner beats Floyd Mayweather, then Adrian Broner will get that shot.
I think Manny Pacquiao possibly can beat Danny Garcia.
No.
Tough one, but I think he may be able to.
No way.
Got quick feet. Danny's got slow feet.
Sherman or Sean Porter.
Adrian Broner actually came out on his Instagram and said, or social media, one of his social media things, and said that he had a picture of Floyd and Manny Pacquiao. And he said that all these rumors about me fighting Floyd or Manny Pacquiao, I need $100 million to make this fight. He ain't getting $100
Jesus
million.
Christ.
Come on, son. Yeah, I'm gonna give you 50 grand. That's it.
He'll get his biggest payday for both fights.
I
He may
agree.
not get $100 million, but he'll get a big payday for both fights.
I agree.
Didn't he get? They offered him $10 million. Didn't I think that's another loose rumor to fight Manny Pacquiao, and he turned it down?
Yeah, something like that. Called it a slave wage or something.
Jesus Christ!
If somebody offered me $10 million, I'd say, where do I sign?
Nah, $2 million. Where do I sign? You know what I mean? That's it.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not. Hey, I'll do it. Mikey Garcia will face Errol Spence next. No, wait a minute. No, I read that wrong. No, he's going to face Richard Comey next. That's right, Richard Comey. Yeah, so all the talk that Mikey Garcia did, talking about Errol Spence and I want him next, he's going to be the guy when I beat Robert Easter, I'm taking Errol Spence next, blah, 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 was just that all talk. Mikey Garcia will face Richard Comey next. So much for calling out Errol Spence. So, Garcia, talk all you want.
You know what? Comey's no pushover. Mikey wins, but Comey's no pushover. We've seen that.
Yeah, Comey's a good fighter, but Comey's a good fighter, but I think he's on the slide, to be honest with you.
Does anyone really think that Errol Spence is going to fight Mikey Garcia? You think they're going to allow Mikey Garcia to go in there?
No,
I just can't see that happening. I just can't see it.
No way. Errol Spence murks Mikey Garcia, son. That's not even a fight.
Errol Spence fights Manny Pacquiao before he fights Mikey Garcia.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I would go along with that. Some sad news in boxing. Graziano and Robert, maybe you can help me out here.
Rashashani?
I think that's as close as you're going to get.
Roxagiani. Let's call it that. Graziano Roxagiani. Easy for me to say. Killed in a car accident, man. He was killed in a car accident this week. He was a two-time champion. Good fighter. I'm hearing all around good guy. So so hearts go out to his family. Hate to see a champion like that go down like that. So
he can't be that old either.
Very sad news. No, I don't think he was.
No,
I don't think he was.
Not.
No. Christina Hammer and Claressa Shields is off. Christina Hammer backed out of the fight with an unspecified medical condition. Robert, you've spent time with Christina Hammer before on a social level. What is this unspecified medical condition? Do you know anything about it? Has she called you lately, or have you called her?
Let's put it this way. If I spent time with Christina Hammer, I wouldn't be doing this show.
Wow.
Oh, you would leave us just like that.
He would. Robert said he would never leave the
Really?
house if he was dating Hammer.
Really?
Robert said it's Hammer time.
I believe you, but my lifestyle would be completely different. I'll tell you that.
Wow.
Oh, that's a little bit too much information there, son.
Robert just dumped us for a girl, man. How about that? Wow.
You know what?
That's not right.
That fight does happen. I think Hammer time will give Shields fit.
I think so too. I don't think she'd be. I think Claressa's too big though. The monster. All right.
I think it'll be a good fight, and I want that to be the first female fight that goes 3 rounds, and make the fight 12 rounds instead of 10.
Oh, 3-minute rounds, you mean?
You got it.
Yeah.
36 minutes, son.
That ain't gonna happen.
Would you watch that fight, Robert?
Oh well, I think it's going to be on Showtime anyway. So yeah.
Would the loser? Would you put
Hammer on Showtime? What, the last 2 fights? If you're not going to show that fight.
Yeah. There you go. Would the loser do your dishes? Would that be something that would interest you? And
I don't know. I'd have to think about
you're
that.
such a sexist, dude. Seriously, that was so uncalled for.
Can't believe you,
so
Robbie.
uncalled for.
Breaking my heart tonight.
Just a sexist. First, he's fat shaming Baby Miller.
Killing me.
And then he's sexist, you know.
We get some copyright strikes off this because of Robbie.
You know, Christina Hammer is a she's a good boxer and everything, and you're just talking about your social life with
We may get flagged for hate speech tonight.
Jacked up.
In all seriousness, you got to be careful about what you say when it comes to women these days with the Me Too movement going on.
Oh wow!
Robbie,
now you're bagging on the Me Too movement,
Robbie. This is a we're in very trying times right now in our country.
Very trying.
Very trying.
Yeah, yesterday was the prime example, and everybody knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, we know.
You talking about the McGregor fight again?
No. We had a worse train wreck than that in Washington, D.C.
That's true. Yeah. That's very true. All right, that'll do it for this edition of Ringside Reporter. As always, you can catch Robert on Twitter at Ringside Robert, or you can call Ringside Robbie's Corner at 917-259-1810 and leave him a message. You can catch Joe Khabib on Twitter at JHabib1. Find his YouTube channel at beatingtheoddswithbeeb.com. On Twitter, I'm at Ringside73, and we will see you next week.
Have a good one, guys.